Why, good evening, folks. Just look at this gathering of friends. Talk about magical. Well, I'll be. It's the Blue Fairy!
When stars are born, they possess a gift or two. One of them is this. They have the power to make a wish come true. Remember, we must always believe in our wishes, for they are the magic in the world.
Big doings going on, so let's get started. See you real soon.
WDW Radio, your information station.
Hello, my friend, and welcome to the WDW Radio Show, your Walt Disney World information station. I am your host, Lou Mangello, and this is show number 504, the last episode of 2017, and I am here once again not only to help you have the best vacation experience when you go to the parks, but I also want to bring you a little bit of Disney magic wherever you are, not just with the podcast, but with videos, live broadcasts on Facebook every Wednesday night, our friendly and welcoming community over on Facebook at the WDW Radio Box People group, my books, audio tours, special events, meets of the month, and more. You can find everything over at WDWRadio.com. So as we prepare to turn the page and look ahead to 2018, this week we're going to look back on the 2017 Disney Year in Review. From Walt Disney World to Disney parks around the world, Disney Cruise Line, movies, and mergers, we're going to discuss the many additions, announcements, events, memories, magic, and more. I'll then have the answer to our last Walt Disney World trivia question of the week, and I'll pose a new challenge for your chance to win a Disney Prize package. Then stay tuned to the end of the show, as I'll have more information about upcoming WDW Radio events, live broadcasts, meets of the month, and more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of the WDW Radio Show. How did it get so late so soon? It's night before it's afternoon. December is here before it's June. My goodness, how the time has flown. How did it get so late so soon? Now, Dr. Seuss was a wise man, because time does fly, especially when you're having fun. And oh, the fun we had in 2017 in Walt Disney World, in Disneyland, online, on the water, across the water, and together in person. And as time continues to pass, I find myself becoming more and more reflective on the past. But I think as we prepare to turn the page to the next chapter of our lives, as the clock strikes midnight on New Year's Eve, this is the perfect time to look back on the past 12 months, specifically the past year in Disney. So much has happened in, at, and not just to Walt Disney World, but throughout the Disney world, which has grown far beyond where it was just a year ago. 2017 has been a year full of new additions, announcements, surprises, and sometimes, sadly, a few things which now only exist in our memories and photographs, and tweets and snaps and instas, etc., etc., etc. So this week, we're going to gather around the fire because it's freezing here in Florida. It's like 52 degrees outside, and people are hoarding bread and milk and Nutella at Publix. But we are going to reflect back on all that has happened over the course of the past year in Disney. And of course, I don't want to, and seriously should not do this on my own. So I invited some members of the WDW Radio Nation and a bit of royalty to join me as we reflect back on 2017. And because I am contractually obligated to mention her first, like Barbara Streisand demanding her name be the first at the top of the movie credits, I am so pleased and thrilled to welcome back Mrs. Becky Menken, President, CEO, and Empress of MEI and Mouse Fan Travel.
Floon.
And the-
Floon. That was the best word you can come up with was floon.
It's Dr. Seuss.
Okay. All right. I'll give you that. But you know what? It's really good, though, that it's cold outside in Orlando, because that just means that we're going to have a great time at Marathon with hand warmers and hot chocolate and what?
Stop. We're having it. Why do you got to go there all the time? We're having a nice day, and already you're talking about the getting up at 2:00 in the morning and standing in 37 degrees.
It's going to be awesome. Last year we learned that we need like 4 layers of socks. So this year we're ready. Yikes. If you remember correctly. So again, that's going back to 2017 and looking back and learning from our lessons. So, I listened. Well,
you're right. Baby, it is cold outside, but I am excited. Now, listen, if we think it's cold down here, wait till we start talking to Fred and the temperatures where he is. But I do believe still in Ladies First and returning to the show, I believe, for the 3rd time.
Yes.
Fact or Fiction. We did a holidays at Walt Disney World. And when I asked...
Oh, and I was on 500, so 4th.
4th one. Oh, if I would have known that. But when I asked the nation to see who would like to join me, you, like our other guests, made a very compelling argument as to why to join, including, but not limited to the fact that you've made the big move to Behind the Castle this year and participated in so many Disney WDW radio events. So I want to welcome back Mrs. Lisa Denoto Glassner to the show.
Hello.
It is good to have you back. Are you ready for your first winter in Florida?
Well, it's been difficult so far. It's only 63 right now, so we have the heat cranking, and I'm in sweats.
Mind you came from Baltimore, where it's about -11 right now,
which I hated, which is why I moved. So you think it was Disney World, but it was really the temperature.
It's just the weather. I think Disney had a little something to do with it.
Maybe a little tiny bit.
And again, maybe someone who is a member of the nation, has been listening to the show for years, has been to World and Land. And I think what got me in your message as to why you wanted to join was because you've eaten some park food. And I just stopped reading after that. I believe this is your first time on the podcast, although you've been to Expo and maybe we're on some live things. I want to welcome Father Christopher Manning to the show.
Well, thank you, Lou. It's a pleasure to be here.
And where is here for you?
Knoxville, Tennessee.
Where the temperature is a balmy
38.
Eesh.
Nice.
Sounds like Siberia. And a man who gave me a typical Lou Mangiello top 10 because I think there was 11 in it. He says a longtime listener, first time talker, except for Momentum, right? You were a 2-time Momentum attendee, correct? I want to welcome to the show for the first time, Mr. Fred Abley.
Thank you very much. It is great to be here.
It is great to have you here for the repeat. I was going to say the repeat offenders, but the repeat guests, and for all of you as well. I am really excited to look back on 2017, and I like doing this with a few people in the group because I think there are things that we all sort of look back on and were sort of our keystone moments for us, things that we maybe found more important or significant to the Disney World or to us personally. But I'm going to throw a fly in the ointment. And again, we don't talk about this ahead of time, but I'm going to start off with a little bit of a mini lightning round right off the bat.
Drive me crazy with these things.
And it's funny because I'm watching them on video and every single one of them rolled their eyes. Becky audibly did. Like everybody else rolled their eyes, and that's okay. And here's the beauty about Ladies First is that, Lisa, I'm going to make you go first. So as you look back on...
What happened to Becky, the queen of everything?
She's going to start texting me. Don't you dare call on me first. My partnership is very important to me, obviously. As you look back at the Disney year of 2017, what was, without overthinking it, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of this past year, your most vivid memory of 2017? This is lightning round. It's supposed to be a little bit more lightning-ish.
The first thing that comes to mind?
First thing that comes to mind when you think of Disney in 2017.
Okay, so I'm going to nix all the personal stuff because obviously that's number one, but because we moved here. First thing that comes to mind is watching the final live stream of Wishes, because we were still in Maryland at that point, and crying through it because Wishes holds a huge place in my heart. And then the next day, watching the live stream of Happily Ever After and loving it with all of my heart. I'm sure we'll talk about this more later, but they're very different shows. But I was so set to hate Happily Ever After with everything in my being because it wasn't Wishes, and I loved everything about it. It is number one on my Run soundtrack right now, my Run playlist. The music from it, I mean, of course. But yeah, no, that's the first thing that comes to mind, other than the fact that we live behind the castle.
And for those of you playing the drinking game at home, every time that Lisa says that we moved behind the castle, you can take a drink. So, Becky.
And make sure you have a designated driver. For this
right. Don't do it while you're driving. Let me be clear. Don't do it while you're driving. Becky, first thing that comes to mind, our most vivid memory of 2017.
Well, for me, it has to be the fact that I was very lucky and everything worked out beautifully. We checked off that box on the bucket list and got to do the China ABD and go to Japan, which made it the fact that I visited all the Disney parks in 1 year. And the fact that we didn't kill each other. And we were together for like 22 days. Right? Yeah. 22 days of you and I together, and we didn't kill each other.
That was a Christmas miracle. That was an absolute Christmas miracle.
Pretty much. But just that entire trip from start to finish was absolutely amazing. Getting to see 3 very different Disney park experiences across the globe. And then obviously seeing the other parks as well and doing it all in 1 year. That was probably the top of the list for 2017 for me.
Father Christopher?
For me, I think 2017, I know this will touch on a future episode, but I think announcements. Just went to D23, being at the Parks and Rec. So looking, I think 2017 for me is going to be a year of change. Personally, I think one of the things I got to do was being in Disneyland this year.
And Fred?
Well, I agree with everybody on those. And I think the other thing, too, is Disney Springs not expanding, but I think becoming more of a solid venue that you want to go to, and the restaurants continuing to grow. I think that was for me when we were down there, not totally Disney related, but as a momentum group. And we were touring around down there. And I think that was when I realized, wow, this is impressive. This is now a whole other destination.
It's sort of the fifth gate for me. And I say this all the time. It is, I spend more time at Disney Springs than I probably do in the parks, especially in between Christmas and New Year's when we're recording this. All right, I'm going to save some of the other things in the lightning round for a little bit later because I think it'll be more beneficial to sort of go through the list first. But I'm going to sort of venture out of Disney World specifically for a second, because I think as we talk about the parks, especially going forward, and we'll talk about some of the big fox in the room later on, but I want to know, what was your favorite movie of 2017? And then when I say movie, I mean Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, anything under the umbrella. To give you a little assistance, I will quickly go through the major releases. March, we had Beauty and the Beast. May, we had Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. May, we had Pirates, Dead Men Tell No Tales. June was Cars 3. July 7th was Spider-Man Homecoming. Let that sit there for a second. November was Thor Ragnarok. There. November 22nd was Coco, Bring Tissues. December 15th was Star Wars, the oh so very divisive Last Jedi. In the same order as before, favorite movie of 2017? You?
So I'm going to give a really quick shout out to my other 3 favorites.
My young Padawan, you have learned so well.
We all know that I love me some Spider-Man. So Spider-Man Homecoming was phenomenal. I'm a huge Guardians fan, so the second volume was amazing. And The Last Jedi was like everything I wanted in a Star Wars movie that I didn't know I wanted. All of that being said, Coco is my number one, hands down, might be my new favorite overall Disney movie. I had avoided it for weeks because I knew it would trigger a lot of tears personally, and it did. But it was cathartic and wonderful, and probably the most beautiful movie I'd seen in a long time. I cried from the time that they started singing "Remember Me" until the credits, but for good reasons. So there were big movies for me this year, but yeah, Coco was overwhelmingly my number one.
And Becky, I'm going to answer
Mm-hmm.
for you because I'm going to probably guess that
You might be
haven't
wrong.
you haven't seen most of them, but you love Thor Ragnarok because Chris Hemsworth.
Because Thor.
Right.
Of
So
course,
there you go.
Thor. All right. So I have not seen Coco, and I've heard everybody saying how amazing it is, but I have this thing. I had this thing about trying to avoid the ugly cry in a public theater setting. So I'm going to wait until that comes out and then bring it to my home and close the doors and close the curtains and watch it with a big box
Your
of
husband's
tissues.
so
And
lucky
then-
to be able to have that experience with you just one-on-one.
Oh no, he'll probably be gone. So it's he's going to be traveling somewhere during that time because the whole ugly cry thing is not good. Star Wars Last Jedi, I had really high expectations. I still don't quite know what I feel about that one yet. It was great, but I need to see it again. I really do need to see it again. Spider-Man Homecoming, I'm with you there, Lisa. I had really high expectations and it met the expectations. I loved it. I laughed. I got to see Spider-Man for the character that he was meant to be, which the other movies across time have kind of taken him out of that box. Thor was a good, it was fun. It was Thor. It was, Chris Hemsworth.
Oh,
But anyway.
friendly show. Come on.
Yes, I know, but he's pretty awesome. But the story was really good. I would say, though, that just slightly edging out Thor for me is Guardians 2. I absolutely loved that show, and I found myself. I now have my spirit animal, and it is Rocket. And I love the soundtracks from it. My youth comes forward from the soundtracks, and I have watched it over and over and over and over again. So that kind of tells me that it's a movie that's going to be sticking with me for quite some time. And I really do like the characters. I like the story. I like everything about it, and I can't wait to see them in Infinity War.
And before I get to you, Christopher, I don't know if forgive me if I've mentioned this before. You know that Tom Hiddleston was originally supposed to play Thor.
Yeah, I heard that.
And
that
if you
he
go,
had-
you can find his screen test as Thor, and it's so mentally disruptive because it makes no sense in our
I cannot see him as Thor. I
No,
just
it
can't.
didn't work.
This is no way of putting that together.
So, Christopher and Fred.
For me, I think Lisa's and my lists are very similar. I did enjoy Star Wars. I loved the Marvel movies. Whether it is Thor, Spider-Man was fantastic, Guardians of the Galaxy fantastic, but for me, the number one movie, the only one out of the list I've seen twice already in theaters, and I'm planning on going back again, is Coco. It was a touching movie, loved the animation, great storyline. For me, by far, the best Disney movie of the year.
Yeah, for me, I think first of all, I haven't seen Coco yet, so I'm disappointed that we haven't begun. You're raving about it, but as Lou knows, and many people would not know, Star Wars is my lifeblood, and it's not my favorite, but I loved it, and it was so divisive, right? But there's two things that I judge that movie by its success, and it was how I emotionally connected to it after I saw it. There's a scene in that movie that just really touched me because of that scene with Luke and Leia. Him not knowing that was the end of them together, but that scene right there was, I hope that wasn't a spoiler for anybody, but that was really powerful for me. So that movie, you can pick it apart, but I think it was a great Star Wars movie. But the other thing, the movie that really was important for us as a family was Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast, that really, first of all, was one of the great animations from Disney Studios, now translated into live action. And for me, my oldest daughter, that was always her favorite. And to see that come to life on the big screen, it was so much fun. And I thought it was really well done.
It was really well done. It was surprisingly well done. And it was great to see that Emma could sing.
Yes.
Seriously, it was very cool.
So I want to quickly get to the one that I want to talk about, and there's no spoiler alert coming here. I loved Coco. I thought it was a beautiful film in terms of the visuals, the music, the stories. Again, I say as somebody who's not Mexican, to be able to see the way the culture and the importance of family was portrayed, I just thought it was a wonderful beautiful. And you're right, Lisa. It was a moving story. If you didn't cry at the end or at multiple times throughout, you should have. And you need to go see it again. I've seen all the other films. I really, really liked Thor Ragnarok much more than I thought I would. I thought it was the perfect blend of action and story and retelling of some of the comic stories without it being too humorous. I thought Guardians of the Galaxy, there was a lot of humor in there, which I really liked. I think it definitely played to a younger demo, which I think they found after the first Guardians was very much what the film was attracting. But I said it when it came out. I am not too proud to say it now. I cried during Spider-Man Homecoming. Like little 7-year-old Lou Mangello, because that is the movie that I waited 30 years to see. And I thought it was the best, without even close, the best superhero movie of 2017. It completely re-energized. Slow down, sister. This is my time on the stand. It completely re-energized the franchise and those characters, right? And I think why? Because it was funny. I think it was touching. I think there was an emotional aspect to it. I think it gave you a lot of excitement for what's to come. I think thanks to Iron Man, it connects Spidey to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and what we're going to see in things like Infinity War. It was funny without being funny for funny's sake. Like the humor in there was peppered in just enough. And to me, compared to any other superhero movie, whether it's Guardians, Logan, Wonder Woman, Ragnarok, Lego Batman, or Captain Underpants, he was the best superhero. And for me, I've always had a personal connection to Spider-Man. I think he is, much like I am, he is dorky and awkward and that angsty teenager, and I think he's the most relatable character. I think he's the character that so many people find that it's easy to identify with, that I think something that a lot of the other heroes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe are missing. So I loved it. I loved it.
That's what was so cool about it, though, is again, it took the character to the real teenager, not somebody supposedly 14 or 15 and then acting like they're 22, but it really did have that spirit of the teenager that's kind of a little wild and crazy in there. And my favorite scene from it, though, was when they had the look back at the battle from Civil War. And I got so excited when that, because you know that you saw that battle, but then you didn't realize what was going on behind the scenes. And it was so well done the way that they made that circle connect. It was very cool.
And I'm sorry, go ahead. I was going to say there's a scene too in there. You know, you're talking about connecting with the teenagers as a dad of two young ladies. The scene where Michael Keaton is driving them to the event. And he's putting that pressure on him. I was squirming in my seat with that. But Michael Keaton played that role. So I mean, I think it was all well cast, incredibly well cast.
Tom Holland is Peter Parker. Like he is just awkward and goofy, yet lovable enough that he is Peter. Andrew Garfield was never Peter Parker, and I don't even want to start getting into Tobey Maguire and Spider-Man 3 and the whole black shirt disco scene. But Michael Keaton was the perfect Vulture because, and I think unlike a lot of other, and I don't want to go too far into this, but unlike a lot of other movies, he's a sympathetic villain. Like you feel for him because the actions that he takes are based on simply trying to look out for his employees and his family. And you're right, that scene in the car, as awkward and as comfortable as it is brilliant. And if you go back and watch the direction and cinematography of it, there's a moment when he sort of realizes, and the light on his face goes from the green of the Vulture it goes from the red of sort of anger to the green of the Vulture. I'm like, oh my God, that's brilliant. So I love that film. Thwip.
I want to bring up something though, and don't yell at me, but I just want to argue with you about one point that you made. And I know it's not Marvel, but Wonder Woman was pretty amazing. Really? Are you snoring? You are really snoring. You are. Hello. That was a fabulous movie.
I will say this. Wonder Woman might be the only semi-bright star in a very dark DC movie universe.
Again, I'm not matching it to DC and I'm not bringing the DC piece up. I'm just saying that for a standalone with Wonder Woman, that was really well done in terms of storytelling, and the actress is amazing, and the story was well done. I really enjoyed it as a movie, and I think it stood up to several of the Marvel films that we've seen, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern is laughing at the DC movies that have come out after that, but I digress.
Possibly.
I digress.
But all right, get in touch with your inner woman for a second. It was pretty cool.
Wait, what?
From
All
that perspective.
Let's move from the movies, because I will tell you that I do have plans for a show, maybe sort of a top 10 Marvel movies coming in 2018. I've been thinking about doing it for a long time, and I think I need to expand and get on that topic, and half of it's going to be about Spider-Man. But I do want to go and sort of start off specifically in Walt Disney World. And I thought the way that we would do it is maybe go park by park and talk about some of the additions, the announcements, some of the losses, some of what maybe we are anticipating coming to each of the parks in Walt Disney World. And then we'll touch a little bit on, obviously, the resorts and Springs and Cruise Line and Disneyland as well. Lisa, I will tug at your heartstrings first, because May was a bittersweet time for you, with Wishes ending its run on May 11th and fortunately resuscitating you on May 12th with Happily Ever After. I thought the Cosmic Dance Party debuting just a week later was going to be the high point. Obviously, there was not a lot of new additions to Magic Kingdom specifically, although we could mention the sushi cart coming to Cool Ship. Hall of Presidents reopened on December 18th after a long closure, not just to add the animatronic figure, but obviously to upgrade the theater, the seats, the projections, the audio, etc. And I think going forward, what we got from D23 Expo was the excitement of what's to come in terms of Tron and the Main Street Theater, which is going to be based on that 1920s Willis Theater in Kansas City. And as much as I love Tron in China, I'm really looking forward to live entertainment coming to Magic Kingdom next year. Was there anything else that I missed? I think there was not a lot necessarily that happened in Magic Kingdom this year, because I have been, I believe in my heart that Magic Kingdom, specifically Tomorrowland, is going to be the next area that is ripe for growth, expansion, and change.
There is one thing, though, that I think disappeared from there, and Lou, maybe you could validate this. The cheeseburger spring roll. That was located over by the...
Yeah, Lou, maybe you could talk about that.
Look, I know it's my... I know. Thank you for throwing
I haven't
me under
even
the
heard
bus.
of this.
You never had
that was...
So
no,
wait a minute.
every time we were there, they were either out of them, or then we found out that they were going to be discontinued over there. They were right over there by the Enchanted Tiki room.
Which goes to show that Becky doesn't pay any attention to any content that I create that does not involve her.
Really?
I did a video about...
I missed it, sorry.
I did a video about the cheeseburger spring rolls in Adventureland, and as fate and coincidence will have it, not long after I did the video, they disappeared.
Discontinued it?
That's
Which
right.
seems to be, it's a running...
That explains everything.
Well, it seems to be a running trend. Whenever I do a video about something, it goes away. So
then stop. Just
listen, I am not kidding when I say that I did a video about poutine that I haven't posted yet for fear that I'm going to kill the daily poutine.
You're the oh great. Video killed the food star. I don't know. That's please
because
stay
it's
away
not
from
just that
anything
one.
I like.
There's been a few. There's been a few that I have it's unintentional, because you know how much I love my food, but.
Wasn't there a macaroni and cheese something?
Yes.
I killed the pot roast mac and cheese. There was the cupcake, the Cheshire Cat cupcake, and there was one other thing at Epcot that I did, which is also
the Mickey cheesecake.
Yeah. So the
So
Mickey
no
Oreo
wonder
cheesecake.
you haven't. No wonder you haven't taken a video camera into Boathouse.
No,
yet.
never.
That explains it all.
And don't talk about the churros either. Please.
No, I'm not going to even bring. I'm not going to even bring my phone to Disney Springs anymore.
Sunken treasures. Please don't go anywhere near that.
All right, so let's move over to Epcot, because I know there's some things that we definitely want to spend some time on. Again, we lost Ellen's Energy Adventure which closed to make way for Guardians of the Galaxy attraction. We got a new adventure in Mission Space, as we also anticipate the opening of a new restaurant opening, I believe, next year or in 2019. The Spectaculab opened in what is still, what I think for the time being, Innoventions. We obviously know that Ratatouille is coming to France. An updated digital video production in China is going to have some, what they call seamless circle vision. And Becky, for you, I saved for your personal best for last. The Choza de Margarita finally opened in Epcot. So you have a new margarita stand.
Research for that lounge show that has been, on the books for 4.5 years.
Top 10 lounges in Walt Disney World, I promise you will be a part of.
Excellent.
I believe Lisa's probably also waving her hands wildly.
I am. I'm going to wear my T-shirt.
I've done the research, she's saying, so. But anybody, just feel free to jump in. Was there anything that came or lost in Epcot? Give me your thoughts either on the new adventure over in Mission Space, the loss of energy adventure, anticipating Guardians of the Galaxy, anything else that changed or was added there?
Just when you said
I think
Guardians
one thing
of the
you
Galaxy,
did miss.
Go ahead.
I was going to say one thing I think you missed is the loss of Siemens as a sponsor for both Spaceship Earth and therefore Illuminations as well. So kind of what will that mean for the future? But I think that will be a major loss in the long run.
Lisa and other Illuminations fans, my timetable was a bit off, but I think if you love Illuminations, you might want to go and get those views in now while you can.
I would probably agree with that. I think I love Illuminations. I love the things that they've had at Epcot, but I'm so excited to see what's coming. I'm so excited to see what the innovations are going to be. Was really excited when they were talking about Guardians coming in and the fact that Quill visited Epcot. And that just put all kinds of chills up my spine of how they're going to tell that story. And it's kind of sad to see the dinosaurs go away. Not really. For me, I'm really excited to see what the Imagineers are thinking about or have thought up and what's coming to Epcot.
And again, we'll save speculation for a future show, but I believe in my little Epcot nerd heart of hearts that, and we'll obviously talk about D23 Expo in a little more in detail, but I think that what we saw and heard announced at the Parks and Resorts discussion at D23 Expo is just the first round of what is coming to Epcot. I expect many, many more announcements that I think have been timed for a variety of different reasons to be coming in the next 6 to 12 months. And I think that the Epcot that Peter Quill is going to see in 2019 is going to look very, very markedly different than the one that Peter Quill saw in 1982. And I don't just mean over by Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean where currently Innovention stands. I mean the what World Showcase looks and feels and sounds like is also going to change as well.
Cool.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think what I'm most, it's interesting because I was thinking about, obviously it's a topic for another show in part, but it's what I'm most excited about, this year at Disney and looking forward is the thing I think I know the least about, which is what's coming to Epcot, but that it's coming, particularly to Future World. We all know it's the park that holds my heart the most. It needs the attention. It needs the revamping to some extent, especially in Future World. I think I sat at D23 hoping to hear a little bit more about what was coming and thinking maybe they were holding off for the 35th anniversary, and then kind of went through the 35th and still kind of didn't know much. But I think we all have an inkling of what's on the horizon for no pun intended for Epcot in the future. And it's definitely what I'm most excited about, even though it's such a black box still, closing out this year.
Well, Lou, you've said some stuff in the past about, not knowing what's coming is is the key part, right? And the way I keep on looking at this after D23 was almost like a shopping mall where you have your anchor stores. So all the announcements were like the anchors, but what really makes the mall is all the little stores that connect the anchors. Mm-hmm. And I kind of wonder how all these pieces are going to come together. And it's just, I think the thing that was probably the biggest discussion that flew around in the Nation Facebook page was, what are they going to take away? Are they taking away our youth? Are they taking away the 80s feel and so on? But it's just, you got to trust what's going to come, like you've always said, and we all agree with, I think. But at the same time, it's like, how long is this going to take? Is it going to take, will I be retired by the time they complete it? That's the thing that floats around always in the back of my mind.
Well, I mean, you got to remember too, there's so much that's going on right now. You can't do it all at once. You can't open, everything all at the same time. You can't do construction. And I think what you're going to see is major construction in Epcot. So I'm not so subtly hinting to, we're not just going to put a new, something new in Innoventions. There is going to be major construction that is going to take place in and throughout Epcot. And I think there's a lot of things that just have not been announced yet and that will be worth waiting for. But again, there's still a lot that's there's a lot of planes that are already in flight, and maybe that's a good way to segue over to Disney's Hollywood Studios, where there's lots of planes in the air going on all at the same time. And I don't just mean Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land, but the great movie ride closed to make way for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I can't believe I said that, not being a tongue twister. But there were also, the thing about Disney's Hollywood Studios, and look, throughout the year, it was being called what it was called when it very first opened, which is exactly what to a certain degree it is, which was sort of the half-day park. There was not enough to do there to keep you there from 8 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night. But maybe, Fred, to your point about, there's the anchor attractions, but there was a lot of little things that got added. So there was Disney Movie Magic. The Baseline Tap House opened in September. This holiday, we got the Sunset Seasons Greetings. One of the things that I really enjoyed, and I'm disappointed I didn't get to go more than just a couple of times, which was the music of Pixar Live, the symphony of characters over in the Beauty and the Beast Theater. I think there is something special about music being performed by a live orchestra, and that's exactly what you got with a little bit of visuals behind it. I thought it was beautiful. I don't think it got as much love or attention as maybe that it should. But, Hollywood Studios right now is in very much of a transition phase as we get ready for, Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge, both of which I think offer, depending on who you are, your equal levels of excitement for what is to come. And the more that we see and the more details that we're getting about Galaxy's Edge, I think that is going to be that pivotal game-changing type of a land in terms of levels of immersion and interactivity. These are things that we've talked about for years in terms of how that's changed drastically since the opening of Disneyland in 55, in terms of we as guests, especially a younger generation, wants less of a passive experience and more of one that's interactive. That's exactly what you are going to get when you walk through those gates of Galaxy's Edge. That idea of stepping into another world, another land, another time is really going to take hold. And then obviously when we start talking about the resorts, bleed very much into the opening of the Star Wars resort as well.
Yeah, seeing the next things, and again, you're going to talk about it in another show going forward, but it's just exciting to see all of the disruption that they've come up with or that has been announced so far, because that's what really is getting exciting. The difference. You're not just going to walk up to an attraction, stand in queue, ride the attraction and leave. Everything about what they've been doing going forward is meant to engage you, to really insert yourself into the story, not just as a casual observer, but as an actual participant. And I think that my problem at this point is wondering why we can't be into 2019 faster, but yet I don't want to lose the year at the same time because
agreed.
I am so excited about what's coming, what's happening, and this is just that lull between. And it's nice to see the things that they have been sprinkling all the parks with to get us through from here to there. But it's inevitable that our sights are going to be pointed on those things that are that really have us excited.
And
I agree. I think.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That as you talk about, especially Hollywood studios and that move to that more immersive component, I really am being drawn to, as we'll talk about maybe later, and definitely for you for future shows, that idea of that Star Wars hotel itself.
Yes.
But even tying that into another announcement back for Epcot, the mission space restaurants, that where the environment itself will be far more immersive, I think is where Hollywood Studios is really going to shine as the year goes forward.
That's another thing too. I think it's pretty amazing how Disney uses a lot of venues as kind of like these sandboxes where they're putting together these mini versions of things that ultimately get pulled into a major venue. And Pandora, of course, is a big venue, but that immersiveness there obviously will appear in Star Wars. But even in Epcot, in Future World, where they had I can't remember the name of the ride, but where you design your own roller coaster and you ride it. I always wondered, I think that was a neat thing, but I always wondered what they were learning from that. As far as, guests coming in and doing something interactive to ultimately experience something interactive. And I wonder if that'll appear in some way inside the Millennium Falcon experience or wherever else. But I think they do that in a really cool and smart way.
Well, I think one of the things that we learned, and Lisa, I know you also attended the Star Wars Galactic Nights, obviously with no Star Wars weekends anymore. They had a one-night special event this past December where they had a panel talking about Galaxy's Edge and really for the first time giving us some additional details about what this remote trading port of Batuu is going to look like. And they were very, very specific and very deliberate, I think, in the presentation, talking not just about the look and the story and the detail, but it's going to drill down to, to sort of quote, even the water fountains, the merchandise that you get from the street market and the exotic food and the beverages is really going to sort of make you believe, again, 9-year-old Lou Mangello freaking out. Like, that's what I wanted my adventure to be in. And I think it's beyond just the attractions where you're sort of stepping foot into the hangar bay of the Star Destroyer or getting to pilot the Millennium Falcon, which is what every 9-year-old boy wanted. We all wanted to be Han Solo because Luke was a little whiny in the first movie, but you also can earn like galactic credits, and you're starting to understand like that there's so much more that you are going to be able to do than just go ride rides, eat food, and buy merchandise that looks as though it was created by these local street vendors.
Wait, they're going to have you earn credits? I didn't hear that part.
Yeah. You're going to be able to earn
that's
credits.
Interesting, right? Yeah. Because that was the whole, not that this is directly related to Disney, but Battlefront 2, that was that big debate, right? And when you go and you play that game, you earn credits to build out certain things. I wonder if there's going to be some crossover
So
there.
Depending on how you and your team does on the missions, like in the Falcon, it's not just sort of that one-off, you get off and then you go right. You earn, and again, I don't know the specifics of it, you're going to earn galactic credits for how well you handled the mission. Or if maybe you did something wrong, maybe you're on one of the bounty hunters lists. And those credits and that experience is going to follow you beyond the black box of the attraction into the cantina, I would expect, throughout possibly the entire land. And if you're staying there, into the Star Wars resort as well.
So finally, all of those years of staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning playing video games might pay off.
Yes.
Dude,
all of
awesome.
you who played Dark Forces and TIE Fighter and X-Wing and the Yoda Desktop Adventures and all of the 85 different Star Wars games, finally, Mom and Dad, I told you, one day we're going to pay off. Forget that law school nonsense.
Exactly. That's awesome.
Redemption.
And again, and again, making it immersive and bringing you into being part of the story is incredible. That's where it should be going. And again, it's a disruptor in the industry. And if this goes over well in the hotel, I can just imagine what other entities will take on that type of immersive experience.
And
this, a lot of potential.
And I think I made a mention. This concept is one that's not new. This concept, and probably even dated before this, in terms of Disney World, the first time I remember them talking about it was what Hollywood Tower of Terror was going to be, where your experience was actually going to begin when you got off the plane, when you got into a car, which was an old like Woody's wagon from the 20s that was going to have curtains on the window so you couldn't see. So the second you got in that car, that's when your adventure began. I think they're going to take that same type of experience and bring it through not just the attraction, but the entire land, and certainly for guests that stay at the Star Wars Resort as well.
Well, way back when, somebody was thinking about doing a Star Trek version in Las Vegas years and years ago, too. So it's always been on somebody's mind of trying to figure out how to make it happen. And it's so great to see that Disney is finally the one that's executing.
Well, and it's such an incredible gift, right? I mean, like there's only so many sort of fictional universes out there that are so complete that you can fully lose yourself in them, that we have grown up with, be it, and Disney owns one of them now and is working. Yeah, it's
two
incredible.
Of them.
I mean,
two of them, yeah.
Two of them.
Yes. I mean, but complete universes that you can fully lose yourself in the fiction of that fully detailed world. I mean, when you look at what they did with Pandora, I mean, you can only begin to imagine what they're going to be doing with a fully complete universe that you could already sort of lose yourself in before they even got their hands on it. So I'm so excited for what's to come.
To that point, Lisa, I just want to back up again to the Magic Kingdom. So the castle became that venue, right? So you could stay inside of it. And did they make an expansion to that this year? Or was that prior year?
Yeah, so that castle originally was just for a year of a million dreams, and then it was, given away for some, charitable causes and things like that. But the thing about the castle was it was a special experience that nobody could buy, right? You could not, and I think for the most part, you still cannot buy that experience. Where the Star Wars Hotel, we're speculating that anybody is going to be able to buy this 3 or 4 day experience there. And again, like you said, sort of expanding on what you're able to do. You're not limited to one person, but it's something that, and you don't have to even stay at the hotel in order to have that kind of thing. Because I think that is what Galaxy's Edge is going to be, a game changer and a disruptor in the theme park industry.
Yeah. Another thing too, to point out the difference between the castle and this experience is that the castle, the Dream Suite is one room. It is one room that only 6 people can sleep in. So this is a full hotel that's going to have quite an array of guests and cast that are all going to have characters that it's going to be mind blowing if it's done correctly.
And Becky,
it will be.
And Becky, I'm going to be so interested to get your take on it, kind of when it opens, because what they're actually doing with it is anybody's guess at this point. But in my mind, I almost see it as like a cruise ship type experience. Where it is the trip, like it is the embodiment of the trip. I mean, I imagine it's going to be pricey to stay there, I'm sure. But the reason for that, I'm sure, is going to be that, when you're going there, that is your destination to some extent. You're not going and staying at the Galaxy's Edge Resort, to spend your time, rope dropping Magic Kingdom.
Right. And I think that is the intention, is to have that type of experience. Now, how it gets executed when it's finally open might be a completely different story. But in my brain, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that you're getting on a spaceship and you're kind of on the ship. You are on the ship, and hopefully that's what they're doing with it, because that would be the disruptor that we're talking about. That would be the thing that no one else has. That, yes, those of us, if you can afford it or not afford it, you're going to probably save a bunch of pennies over time to do it if you're that invested in that universe. And a lot of us are. So I think that they are really onto something if it's executed properly.
And that's the thing, too. Look, this is not, and I think even beyond, and I agree with you, Lisa, about it being sort of a cruise ship type experience, but I think it's going to go beyond that, because what's going to happen is that once you get there and your adventure starts, it's not just going to be, I'm drinking the blue milk. It's going to be costuming. It's going to be characters. It's going to be stories that's really going to be happening around you all the time. You almost sort of can't get yourself out of it, because it's going to touch every part of your day, right? And it's going to be a unique, unlike going to ride Star Tours where the 40 people in that cabin have the same experience, every single person is going to have a unique journey.
Right, because I mean, even some of the details that have been speculated. Obviously, I don't know from anybody who actually knows what's going on, but some of the details that have kind of been speculated are that you'll have a character in this universe, that you will have a costume in this universe, that you will have a backstory in this universe. And again, if they do that, that's going to be doing it correctly, because then you're going to be invested. And if you go once, you'll probably have something like building your credits or building your clout, and then you'll have to come back again.
Can they do like a BYO costume? Like I can finally take the Ewok costume out of storage and wear it multiple days at a time?
You're going to be an
it's not in
Ewok.
storage.
Uman
you say?
Jello is Ewok number 22.
Finally, I can take the Ewok costume out. So, but all right, let's. And I think this is a good. I think this is a good time to transition to. Really, I think the arguably the biggest thing that we got in 2017, and I think touching on that idea of an immersive experience and speculating as to now with the ownership of the property completely, what Pandora, the world of Avatar, looks like in 2017. And what it's going to look like, and taste like. Oh my God, I love Satuli Canteen. What it's going to taste like in going forward. Have all of us? We've all seen Pandora.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Sort of quickly go around the horn again in the same ladies first order. Give me your thoughts on specifically on Pandora quickly.
Me or Becky first?
You first. Becky needs time to think.
So I'm going to start by saying I'm so impressed with us for not bringing up Pandora for the most part until now. That's incredible. But it's its own beautiful universe. It's a small piece of the Disney property. It's stunning beyond stunning. You could take pictures there all day long. I've said before, and I'll say again, I think Satoli Canteen is my favorite quick service on property. And it's obviously as far as attractions are concerned, I mean, Navi is ride it before you ride Flight of Passage, because you don't want to wait in line for Navi after you've ridden Flight of Passage.
And I think you should just ride it first for the effect as well.
Yeah, just ride it first. Let yourself be immersed in the environment that is Navi. The song of the shaman will stick with you for the rest of the day. It's beyond beautiful. And Flight of Passage, I mean, I think the first time I rode it was this past June when I was down for a house planning meeting. And I was lucky enough to ride it 4 times that day because for some reason the lines were shorter than usual. And the first time I got off, I got on with a group of friends and they all looked at me and they were like, so what was your thought? And I had no words. Like I wanted to say something to satisfy them that I had loved it, but I was just stunned. And the best thing that I could come up with was that if joy was an attraction, it would be Flight of Passage. Like
wow,
it was
I like that.
Like it is joy. It is the embodiment of joy. It's beautifully done. It's beautifully executed. The handprints of the Imagineers on the wall as you walk out is the final gift. It's wonderful. If you haven't ridden Flight of Passage, I would say I don't think I'd wait in line for more than 30 minutes for anything else at Disney. I'd give several hours to Flight of Passage easily. Like I'd bring a book and give it. And if you're coming on a trip, and it's your only visit, that year, just make sure you ride it. Like if it's a 3-hour queue, just wait in it.
Did you cry?
I did.
Okay.
I cried. Yeah. So I just talked for a long time.
No, I mean, the attraction warrants it. I mean, I think the attraction absolutely warrants it.
You probably said exactly what all of us are thinking of. And for me, Lou, you were riding the same time the first time that I rode. And when we got off the attraction, and me, it doesn't take a lot to, make me talk. So to stop talking, I was speechless when I got off that ride. And I can't even think it's a ride. It is an attraction. It is an immersive experience. I rode a Banshee. It breathed under me. I could feel it and hear it and almost feel its heartbeat. It was so real to me. If you let your mind go about the queue you went through and just know the story and figure out, how you connected to this beast, you really experienced what they had put you into for that story. And when I still can't really put it into words, for the exception of I actually rode a Banshee in a foreign world, and it was amazing. And I, like you, Lisa, would wait in line, and I typically am not one of those people that will wait in too long of a queue for almost anything, unless it depends on the company that I keep. If you've got
And
a whole bunch of friends with you,
right?
Yeah, the queue is amazing.
Beautiful.
It's absolutely amazing, and I would wait a good couple of hours for that if I had to, because it was that impressive. I do have the other side of the balance for Pandora. I would like to see some more put into the nighttime experience. I think it is very cool the way it was done, but I think my level of expectation may have been a little bit higher. So I'm hoping to see maybe a little bit added to that as Pandora grows and progresses. But that ride on Flight of Passage was spot on and amazing, and I'll never forget that first ride.
Yeah, that whole park is different. So when my brother-in-law was down there last month in November, and he was, asking about, what it was like, and I was in and out of there at the later hours. We've been going down for years and years and years, like I'm sure many people listening are, right? And they're automatically going to assume either you go there early in the morning to beat the crowds, or you try to go maybe late at night. But if you have little kids, it's tough. But that is one of the parks that I think is really, really cool when you're there during the transition of the day to the night. And I think you brought it to our attention in an earlier podcast, Lou, where you can hear the sounds when you're, or was might one of your video walkthroughs you had with the media days. You talked about how you can actually hear the sounds change, and I really keyed on that, and that's what struck me. I mean, I'm a stone's throw from the woods, so I live by the woods and I experience the woods more than I need to. But when I was there, that was impressive. That was a really, really immersive experience, and that's what I was trying to get him to understand. I said, no, go later in the day, and as it transitions into the night, that's when you want to experience it. But he was having a hard time scheduling it that way with his kids, because he's got four kids.
Yeah, I think the word that everyone's used both here and in other descriptions, it's just that immersive side that is Pandora. That unlike Magic Kingdom, where you go from a ride that may be very immersive, but then you step out and there's another ride right next to it. When you walk into Pandora, the whole environment envelops you. Whether it's the lighting, whether it's the plant life, whether it's the sound, you know that it's all connected intimately in an overarching story from entrance into the land into exit of the land, not just an individual ride.
And I won't take too much time reiterating what I said. On show 484, we did a really in-depth review of Pandora. On 489, we did a live review of Satu'li Canteen, which I agree with you, Lisa, is arguably one of, if not the best counter service, possibly without question, the best in-park counter service restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Anywhere. Yeah. It's delicious. It's healthy. You can create your own. We'll talk about the mobile ordering aspect of it as well.
You can mobile order.
I think, too, what you need to keep in mind is and again, I'm speculating, to be clear. I don't think that they're done with Pandora. I think that there were plans from the very beginning to expand on that area, and there is some room. They do have a little bit of room behind Satu'li Canteen and where Wind Traders is, to do a little bit more expansion. But I think, to sort of summarize my feelings, I was emotional. I felt all of those things. And again, too, I think that Flight of Passage, it was a cornerstone moment in attraction Imagineering in terms of the type of experience that we got as guests. More importantly, it's setting the bar higher for the type of experience that we are going to expect as guests. We understand what a typical black box dark ride is potentially going to be, but in terms of upping the game, that's what the standard is now. That standard is no longer just a visual and auditory experience. We want to feel it. We want to feel the wind. We want to feel the breath of this animal that we are riding or whatever it is that we're doing. And I think that is what this attraction, and I think that land, sort of single-handedly did.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I think it pulls you in. I saw the movie. I liked the movie. It wasn't. I only went to see it once in theaters. It was not raptured by it like many. But when I got off the ride, I immediately bought a Navi Me. That I had no intentions of buying one going in, but just being there and riding the ride, there's just something about being there.
And it wraps itself around you, and that's where, once again, whatever's coming with Galaxy's Edge, they pull it off in an amazing way. There, you walk in there and you feel like, not that you want to be, but you do feel disconnected from the traditional Disney brand in a way. I mean, not that we would want that, but I'm sure some of the people that may be going to see Star Wars Galaxy Edge, they may not be the traditional Disney fan, and maybe they don't want to see that. I don't know, but when you go into Pandora, you do feel like you're in a different world, and it's incredibly well done.
I agree. I do want to move because there are some things that I think we're gonna get to that we're gonna need to spend a little bit of time on. I want to go to. Everybody keeps on talking about the fifth gate. When is the fifth gate coming? I think the fifth gate is already here, and I think maybe Lisa, you as a local might be able to touch on this, or maybe for those who are frequent visitors, Disney Springs is the fifth gate. For me, it is the fifth gate. The transformation of Disney Springs from what it was to what it is now is remarkable. It went from a venue, a location, that never knew what it wanted to be. It didn't know, early on, it was obviously the only place really that you can go shopping. Then it tried to come up with this identity of what Pleasure Island was competing with Church Street Station. It killed Church Street Station. It did what it intended to do. It kept guests on property, but I think it didn't keep guests on property necessarily the way that they intended it. Families didn't know if it was for them. It brought in locals. Sometimes they like to partake in some of the adult beveraging a little bit more than they should. And to some people, there was something that didn't feel, especially late at night. It lost a little bit of that Disney magic, Disney touch. That's all gone. The remnants of Pleasure Island are gone. The ghosts of Pleasure Island have been exorcised. And Disney Springs, I say this all the time because it's true, is the place that I spend more time than anywhere else probably. Obviously, most of that's at the boathouse, but as a whole,
I was going to say, are you paying rent there yet? Because I think that one little corner with a chair and a table pretty much should have your name on it.
It kind of does, but okay. It's true. I mean, I have really come to love, and maybe one of these days I sort of need to do sort of an overarching look at Disney Springs because I don't think it necessarily gets the 30,000-foot view attention that it should. We know of all the little things that open up here and there and things that are happening, but 2017, this is, and I'm sure I'm missing things, including a lot of the shopping venues. Planet Hollywood Observatory opens, Paddlefish reopens, Polite Pig reopens, Pizza Ponte opens. The Edison is technically opening on New Year's Eve. Disney Quest closed. The Void, that Star Wars Secrets of the Empire hyper reality experience, is awesome. Becky, you didn't see it, but I did a video about it. There's a new Cirque show that was finally announced. And looking ahead, I would bet dollars to donuts that the continued growth and expansion and incredible storytelling that people don't recognize is going on in Disney Springs is going to happen. I think downtown Disney West Side, and I'll talk more about this maybe on what we're looking forward to. I think downtown Disney West Side is what is primed. And again, I think with the closing of Disney Quest and the NBA experience coming in and the new Cirque show for that next phase of renovation, you can wave goodbye to the often underutilized, except when it's really busy, ground level parking lot behind Cirque du Soleil. I don't mean the watermelon lot. I mean that one that's closest to the waterway and the Saratoga Springs. There's a huge pad of land right there. I would guess that is going to be expanded upon because of the success of what has been happening at Disney Springs, from keeping the occasional guest there to shop and dine as opposed to going to outlets or Mall of Millennia, and giving locals a place to go and hang out and do what they didn't do before, which was admittedly spend money. I say it all the time. the people that love the Adventurers Club the most are the ones that killed the Adventurers Club, because they went there, they watched the show, they didn't eat because there was nothing to eat there, and oftentimes wouldn't drink, so it wasn't pulling in the revenue that it needed to. That has all changed. Again, maybe sort of around the horn, what do you think is your favorite or greatest addition to Disney Springs in 2017?
So starting with me?
You can start anybody. I mean, you can sort of go in that same order, or if you have something, that you need to get off your chest, please just jump in and feel free.
Well, I think the ones that are already open, I really enjoyed Paddlefish. Went up, ate on the top deck, just in their order off the menu, kind of in their bar area, and just had a beautiful view of Disney Springs. We had eaten a late lunch, so we were just kind of snacking. So we ordered like a pot to share and some appetizers, and just sat on that top deck and looked out over Disney Springs. For what is slightly to come at the end of the year, I am looking forward to Edison and that whole complex of 4 different restaurants / bars all connected. So you have the Pizza Pont, the Hideaway, the restaurant, and then the Edison itself with all its small rooms and bars. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that interacts with the rest of Disney Springs.
Wait until you see the inside, is all I'm going to say. Wait until you see the inside.
And we're not supposed to look forward, but I can't help it. But all right, so I have to do 2 things really quickly. Now, I know I'm going to say Boathouse for a second because of 2 things, and not just the food, but I loved the attraction that they brought with it, with the cars that go into the water, which is really fun. But for me, I'm a big hydro fan. So we have the waterfallies here. We've got Seafair here. I was raised around hydros. So when I went and walked around the outside, it's not just the restaurant inside, but the bar, of course, is outside. And they've got little areas to sit and just look at all of the different vintages of boats around. I loved what they did with that. And to find a hydroplane in there was really cool too. An old vintage one made me.
Did anybody else think that she said I'm a huge Hydra fan?
I thought
not
exactly.
Surprised. Like, of course you're a Hydra fan.
Hydro.
Just say Hail Hydra once, just so I can get it on tape. Yeah.
No way. Hydro, as in hydroplane. You know what it's a boat that goes really, really fast. Just so you know, when you're sitting there and you're eating that big pile of seafood, outside there are boats. It's really cool. You should probably look. But, and you know this because we just wandered around Tokyo Disney Sea. I know that there's going to be some sort, or there's been the rumor that the Edison is going to have some sort of attachment to SEA. And so the Edison is the thing that I'm looking forward to most, because maybe I'll actually get a shirt or a patch or something with the SEA logo, so I don't have to rip it down from a flag that is, sitting in Japan.
So do you want good news or you want bad news?
Oh man, always give me the bad news first. You know how that goes.
You're not going to get an SEA patch there.
No!
Not there.
All right, give me the good news.
There's no good news. I mean, it's going to be awesome, but you're not going to get an SEA patch there.
It's going to be awesome.
Oh,
it's beautiful inside. It's a very interesting venue.
There's not going to be any. They're not going to do the thing that they were talking about.
That's not their bag,
right.
baby.
I'm crushed.
Hail Hydra.
I'm so crushed. No.
Lisa, what was your favorite new addition to Disney Springs?
Favorite new addition? I don't know what my favorite new addition to Disney Springs was. I mean, I haven't been to Boathouse yet.
I know. We're going.
Jock
I promise.
Lindsay's bar. I'm now going to just.
You better have a big lunch plan, Lou.
Well, I'm not the only human that hasn't been there yet. All right, that's good to know.
It's not just you. It's also me. One day I'm just going to go. I'm just going to go by myself.
You can't guilt me. I'm Catholic and Italian. Come on. You got to do better than that. But of the places that are new or open there, have you been to Paddlefish or Polite Fig?
I can out-guilt you all day long.
I'm going to get my mom on here and then see. You guys can
let's do that.
Battle for
that
the
would
guilt.
be awesome.
That's
she just left today. Darn it. Or else I would have had her on.
Oh,
I can call her. Mangelo, what was Lou like when he was 12? How about 16?
All right.
No,
So
How about that, Jock
I-
Lindsay's?
How about that?
I think I'm just really incredibly impressed by how they have taken this district and, created this, it's got normal stores. I can buy makeup there. I can go clothing shopping. I bought my last pair of sneakers for the marathon there. But it still feels like Disney World. Like
It's beautiful.
it's beautiful,
Yeah.
over the holidays it was decorated beautifully, the music and the smells and the lights and the decor. Disney just overwhelms me, all the time. And I think Disney Springs is such a great example of how they have taken a shopping district and made it still feel like a place where, I'm at Disney World with my kids. And it just, it's amazing to me how they have created this, this space. I'm so excited for, I know they're live streaming the last La Nuba, this weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited for what's to come with a Disney IP inspired or driven Cirque. I'll be knocking at the door on their first day. I won't tell the story about how I missed my tour of the Edison, but I'm incredibly excited about that space and the related restaurants that are there.
Gosh, that I can't believe everything on the internet anymore.
Yeah.
Wikipedia is really where you want to get all your accurate information from. That's your best spot.
Definitely. No, but I think I don't have like a specific restaurant. Of course, I've never been to Boathouse, so I can't speak to that. But no, I love that Disney Springs isn't Pleasure Island anymore. I mean, it was fun back in the day, but now that I'm the mom of two small children who wants to go somewhere besides the parks once in a while, I love that space. I love that we can go there any time of day or night and feel like we're still in Disney World, but not. It's great. I'll admit that when you said the fifth gate, I might have thought you meant IKEA, but
I thought you meant a new car.
But I can talk about Disney Springs too.
Listen, I think anybody who goes to IKEA on a Saturday afternoon deserves a medal or a monument or something in between. All right, I want to hit a couple of other things quickly. Obviously, the Copper Creek Villas and Cabins at Wilderness Lodge open in July. I will tell you, I haven't stayed there, but I have toured them. Those cabins may be, for me, one of the most desirable resort locations anywhere because they are beautiful, they are comfortable, and the views of that water are just spectacular.
I've stayed there. They're very comfortable, and they are made for families, and they've got that wonderful little enclosed area so you can be outside or inside. The design is gorgeous on the inside, and it's kind of got a little bit more of a concierge feeling to them than they've had in other locations. It's so well done, and I think that's what they're going to be doing going forward. They're a little spendy. They're not made for an economy vacation, but it would be worth it.
You can book them through MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. We know.
Yes, you can.
I want to just quickly hit on a couple of miscellaneous things that happened or additions this year, which I think are still significant. The Misadventure Falls opened over at Typhoon Lagoon, another sort of attractor, again, especially for locals. But a couple of things, too. We had the introduction of the minivans in July 2017, and they're everywhere now. We had mobile ordering, which it was introduced, I believe, in probably late May through the My Disney Experience app, and I think a lot of people, especially first-timers, maybe don't even know of this. It allows you, if you're so inclined, to pre-order and prepay for your food at a number of different counter service locations throughout Walt Disney World. And then as soon as you get there, you go to sort of the mobile order area, you bypass the queue, and then go straight to your own sort of a designated pickup area to get their food. A huge time saver for a lot of people. I know a lot of locals, I see Lisa's nodding her head, a lot of people use this all the time. I think it's important to say, because it doesn't happen very often, that in September, on the 10th and 11th, they closed the parks for 2 days because of Hurricane Irma. And I say it because, one, because it's a rarity, and two, because I know a lot of people who were here during that time and had nothing but good things to say about the way Disney handled that and gave the guests the best possible experience that they had while they were confined to their resorts, bringing in games, bringing in characters, having food available. So I applaud the teams of cast members that do that, because you can understand the disappointment for people when that happens. And something else that happened relatively recently over the last couple of weeks, because I have to go back to dining because, hi, I'm Lou Mangello, is if you've never used the website or app called Open Table, it's always been kind of like a little bit of a secret weapon in terms of getting reservations somewhere, especially locations in Disney Springs. But now certain Disney restaurants have been added to the Open Table system. I know Flying Fish is one of them. There's a few others that they are testing it out with. So in addition to using the My Disney Experience app, you now have sort of a backup location that you can use to try and get reservations. Of all the things I mentioned, the minivan, mobile ordering, Misadventure Falls, Hurricane Irma, Open Table, any comments, thoughts, feelings on significance or impact of any of those?
I'm hoping they add discounts for the mobile ordering at some point, or annual pass or Tables in Wonderland or something like that. So.
You mean an additional discount just for using the mobile ordering system?
No, I mean that at least when I was there and they were first
so that
rolling,
you can tap into.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, because you can't now use your normal discounts when you're mobile ordering.
Gotcha.
So is there a limitation with the mobile ordering? Is it geolocated, or like do you have to be in the park with an activated ticket, or can you be outside the park?
Nope.
You can be outside, yeah.
That's interesting.
But you're charged when you put your order in. No, I mean, I think I'm still a little bitter that the minivans don't come to my house.
Just so you know, Luber is launching in 2018. So
I'm all over that. Tell Luber to have car seats available.
I'm just mad that somebody owns that domain, by the way.
I cannot believe that.
Like, I'm closer to Magic Kingdom than Epcot is. Why won't the minivan come to my house? But anyway, so no, I love the minivans. I think the transportation stuff is exciting. Like what's happened this year with transportation with the minivans, and like what's coming going forward with the gondolas and all that good stuff is great. I thought Irma was so beautifully handled. It was like a month after we moved here, and I just loved seeing how everybody came together. I got amazing pictures of Epcot, sort of all saran wrapped. Right before they closed up. But the mobile ordering, like if anybody is listening to this who's just planning a trip and has small children, I am in the parks all day, multiple times a week with two small children. And I cannot tell you what a lifesaver mobile ordering is. You can go into the app, you select the venue that you want to be eating from that offers it. You can put your order in. If you're planning on, for example, going to Animal Kingdom for the day with your family, you can put your order in first thing in the morning, like while everybody's still getting ready in the resort hotel room, first thing in the morning. You can put your order in while you've got a moment of quiet time. And then when you're ready to eat, when you're near the venue, be it Satuli Canteen or whatever it is, you can say, prepare my food now. And then within usually 5 to 10 minutes, they'll tell you that your food is ready. They just put it through on whatever card you have put on your account. And there's no better feeling than like walking by that huge queue at Satuli Canteen and just going to pick up your food with your kids. Because it's hard. I mean, as a mom of two small children who is in the parks frequently, I feel that difficulty of like waiting in line at a crowded park quick service restaurant with your two kids sort of pulling on you and you can't get your table yet and you're juggling your food. And it is mobile ordering is just such a smart addition. It's great for anybody, but for somebody who's sort of juggling a big family, and trying to make things as easy as possible, I can't say enough about, mobile ordering. Like, figure it out before you leave. Look on your app, like kind of figure out how it works because it will make your days so much easier. And they're expanding so much. It started out with just Satuli, and I think Pizza Fari had it, but now it's all over, multiple restaurants at all of the parks.
And I really appreciate that they're looking at ways of making things more convenient and easier so that you're not waiting in line when you don't have to, if there's ways around it, and getting people out of the queue and get the food in their hands, and to get all the payment, make it easier so you're not running around with cash in your pockets. I love that they are forward thinking like that, and hopefully we'll see it in other ways around the Disney World as well.
Yeah, I think that's key. Like that whole expansion with the mobile app and embracing the fact that families use them more and more, and not as a distraction in the park now, but as a helpful tool. That's great that they're continuing to expand that whole idea.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that continues and changes. And obviously, we're talking about transportations. Excited for how that is going to be altered as we look forward to the I keep wanting to call them the Skyway buckets. The Skyliner is coming in.
I keep wanting to say the buckets
in
too.
2018.
Right.
I do. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, anybody figure out if that's going to have any windows on it or air conditioning? Just curious.
I will not go in don't worry. It will be absolutely air conditioned and you'll be perfectly comfortable.
All right. Just want to make sure, because the internet is telling me something completely different.
But it's going to be interesting to see how that is utilized by guests differently. And what I mean by that is I think the Skyliner is going to be not just a conveyance and a transportation system, but it's going to be an attraction for people because of where it is going to, people are going to get on the Skyway, the Skyliner, and just go ride it. They're just going to go ride. I mean, as somebody, that's what I plan on doing with it.
And I just want to put the flag in right now that I'm going to call it buckets. It's just always going to be the buckets. I'm not going to be able to put the buckets down. It's going to be called the buckets.
They actually had food on, like if they had like a little snack stand at each of the stations, so I could eat, so I could snack on my Skyliner.
Oh, if we could like cater a whole thing with like a mini bar.
Becky wants it like her own deluxe. She wants a Skyliner deluxe with like a concierge lounge and a butler and a bar. Just slow down.
Think about it. Like, in the London Eye or in the Eye in Las Vegas, you can like get your little capsule and you can have a mobile bar on board. Come on.
There's going to be like one pink princessy gondola.
No, it won't be pink. No pink. This girl don't do pink, man.
I want to quickly, I'm going to venture out of world just for a minute and sort of follow me as I circle back, because I do want to touch on, and we could do believe me, a completely separate show about the other parks and land and cruise line. But I think it's significant to mention the Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout opening at Disney California Adventure. In terms of that, there's a lot of things about that in terms of, the uprising when people heard that they were closing it and bring Guardians into that. OMG, it is the most fun ride I've ever been on. We need to ride it 9 times in a row. I see you guys are smiling because exactly that feeling that attraction gave to you. And I think that was the word that was continually used.
It's a party and a ride.
It's a party ride. Yes.
It's not even an attraction.
It's Passage is joy, then this party. It is a party ride.
Where people used to go into the Tower of Terror and feel foreboding and feel kind of scared and not sure what's going to happen. This, you are whisked into there. You sit down, the music starts, you are excited and out of your seat almost, and you are excited when the first notes of the song come on, and you realize you haven't done this song yet. And
unless you're me and you get hit me with your best shot 6 times.
Oh, well, that's bad timing. Anyway, I'm only missing one. I'm only missing the Elvis song.
Because there is like a chaser. There's like a chaser song that is more rare than others.
Yeah, and you get, when the ride is done, everybody in the car is laughing and high-fiving each other and getting off the ride to go look at their picture and then realizing I got to go again because I need the next song. And I walked off that the first time. I went, this is a party and a ride, and I want to ride it all night long. I want to go over and over and over, and I so enjoy that attraction. It is my favorite in California Adventure right now.
And that's the fact that it's your favorite. I'm happy that you qualified right now, because obviously with the changes that are coming there, again, I believe not just what has been announced, but what has not been announced. And we can touch more on this on the 2018 speculation show. But I will tell you that, I got 2 words for you, and they're more and Marvel, and you can sort of put them together. And that's what I believe is coming there. I did want to just mention quickly Disney Cruise Line. Obviously at D23 Expo, we got, the reveal that nobody saw coming of another ship coming. So now we have new ships coming in 21, 22, and 23. So you can start to plan your vacations out accordingly. But I had an opportunity to visit the Disney Dream in November to see specifically the new Beauty and the Beast show, which I will tell you is remarkable. I was a theater guy like way back when, and you will never see the tapes of anything that exists. But from the front of the stage to imagining how it's put together backstage, that show is spectacular. It's the second best reason to go on a Disney cruise behind the food. So it's food, Beauty and the Beast, and then everything else, because it is incredible. I got teared up, and it's a classic retelling of the Beauty and the Beast story with just enough of an addition and a little bit of a modern twist to it to appeal to, I think, all audiences. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. It's the best show on any ship anywhere, hands down.
But
I agree.
Lou, when you say that though, could you just describe what you mean by beautiful? Do you mean by is it everything like the sound, the characters, or are they doing something visually that you wouldn't expect to be?
So
really?
The costuming, the sets are, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, and don't watch any videos ahead of time, but the sets are alive, and the way that they transition scenes and bring these scenes to life using not just physical props, but what looked to be almost 3D digital scenery is just beautiful. It's captivating. It is absolutely
stunning.
captivating.
Yeah, it is worth for people who are wondering, I want to go on a cruise. That show could draw you to that cruise line and to that ship. It is that amazing, and I would see it twice if I could.
I was gonna say, if they showed it twice, like two different days, because I can't miss dinner because but if they showed it on 2 days, I would go see it twice.
Yeah, is that good?
So
before you missed something about Disneyland that can I go back to really fast just to mention?
Yeah.
One thing that they did this year for 2017 that they haven't done before, they kind of upped the game in terms of their Halloween presentations and what they're doing for Halloween. They made it a lot more edgy over at California Adventure, not like the people across the way edgy, but somewhere in the middle. It wasn't Mickey's Not So Scary, but it was something just a little bit more foreboding and daunting and a little scarier, mixed in with a little happiness over at Radiator Springs too. But I can see, and I was kind of told that if it was popular this year, and it really was, that they would maybe look to move a little bit more towards that side. And the things in terms of the characters that they have out, the decorations, Oogie Boogie out there talking to everybody in the Esplanade, it went over so well, and it had nothing but really good reviews from people that I spoke with. And it's nice to see that they're kind of taking Halloween to another level out on the West Coast. And
again, not to sort of go off on a tangent, but more akin to what we saw in the Asian parks when we were there. And especially
hopefully not that.
There was definitely a few things that that were more on the scary and unique side there. But again,
unique
I don't want to.
Good word, yeah.
Yeah, but we did 3 or 4 shows about them, so I don't want to. I don't want to rehash that, because I do. Look, we do need to get to obviously what was the monumental is a bit of an understatement when, as had been rumored for weeks, if not months before, on December 14th, the Disney company announced that they acquired 20th Century Fox at a discount price. I say that somewhat tongue in cheek, of $52.4 billion. That's a B dollars in stock. and I want to very much get your take on this, but I believe this to say is monumental is very much an understatement. I think this continues to add to Bob Iger's legacy of acquisition since she came into this company in 2005. Pixar in 2016, Lucas and Star Wars in 2012. Again, it sounds like pennies when he said he only paid $4 billion for it. And then Marvel as well. But I think unlike the Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars deals, the acquisition of Fox is not just about the legacy content and the current content. It's going to change the way we consume content. Let me explain.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Movie theaters are already in trouble. Like, it's a fact. There's still something beautiful and special and romantic about going to see it in a film in a theater. But with Disney and Fox deal, it's double trouble than what it was before. I think beyond just the movie theaters, it's even going to be how we consume at home, because it's very easy that Disney can start to take some of that Fox content away from places like Netflix and places like HBO, because Disney is quadrupling down on their upcoming streaming service, which is going to cut out those theater operators entirely. Is it a Netflix killer? Absolutely not, because I think Netflix has been seeing what is coming, and that competition is coming for a long time, which is why they started getting into the original content game, which has been doing incredibly well. And as long as they keep on doing that, they'll be able to sort of stay toe to toe with Disney. If I'm HBO, I'm a lot more nervous than I would be if I was Netflix. But if you think about what Disney is getting, we'll talk about some of the specifics, but Disney is also getting Fox's stake in Hulu, right? Which has an equal stake, I think, along with Comcast. So now with a majority stake in Hulu, Disney's going to change the way streaming is going to happen, which is the way a lot of us and some cord cutters are consuming their content. But let's look at what else Disney gets. And the first one I mentioned, because it's actually quite significant, especially now with Last Jedi coming out. Disney now has all the rights to the original Star Wars, which they didn't have before. Fox had the distribution rights to Episode 4, A New Hope, in perpetuity. I say nay, nay. We also get Deadpool, which Disney has said they will continue to do the right way.
Good.
Fantastic Four, finally, they can get that right. X-Men, expect a reboot in 2021. Planet of the Apes, Kingsman, which I love, by the way. Yes. Predator, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Die Hard, Home Alone, Night at the Museum. Let's switch to the small and mobile screen. A little thing known as The Simpsons, Family Guy, Bob's Burger, Futurama, King of the Hill, X-Files, The Gifted, which is based the TV show based on the X-Men, American Horror Story, and then the massive back catalog. Like, and when I say back catalog, I don't mean just in films, but TV, like current and long-term back catalog. 24, Buffy, Hill Street Blues, MASH, Mary Tyler Moore, kids, look it up. The Shield, the list goes on and on and on. Like, I thought Iger couldn't have done anything bigger or better than what he did. And I say he collectively, he did with Marvel and Lucasfilm. I mean, this is, and Lisa, I know, like, we're speaking your language. You were a mergers and acquisition attorney. You were probably just so sad you couldn't get your hands dirty in some of that paperwork. But this is, look, acquiring the Marvel, the 5,000 Marvel characters, obviously incredibly significant. We won't know the long-term effect of that for 5, 10, 20 years. The same thing for Star Wars. But this is going to have an impact today, and this is going to be the thing that history is going to look back on in the entertainment industry as the most significant deal ever. And I mean, if you think that I'm overstating, please, I welcome discussion from anybody on it.
I completely agree with that, Lou. I mean, one of the things I think is also really interesting, now that you're framing it up that way, is the streaming piece, period. So if you look back through this year, Disney was more engaged than years before, probably because of the technology getting better, but they were streaming more live events. And if you're not living 12 minutes from the gates of the Magic Kingdom, you thrive on those type of events. And now if they have the
2.
Sorry, but I think that that's another significant piece to all this, is like they're going to be able to reach in through their own content platform now and provide experiences in ways that they've never been able to do, and it's all going to be interwoven with everything you just laid out. And well, they have the land to do whatever they want. And when you said Die Hard and some of those other franchises that are just so much Hollywood, it just started to make me think maybe Hollywood studios shouldn't go away. Maybe it should stay. And maybe they expand on that in some weird way. I don't know. I mean, of course you have Galaxy's Edge and Pixar there, but wow, it just, that's huge. And what's their relationship still with ABC? Is it still, that's still in place, correct?
Disney still owns ABC.
Oh, huge.
I think the only missing piece from that, and obviously I want to give you guys a chance to chime in because Lisa has 11 pages of notes. The only missing piece to this, because look, this is, I think, we talk about disruptive technologies. This expands the speed of disruption exponentially. The only piece of this deal that I think is missing, that is something that will come in the future, is Disney getting rid of the albatross that is ESPN, which currently is hemorrhaging money. I think they will, I will even say in 2018, 2019, they will get rid of the sports section of the Walt Disney Company. It should be sold to a company like a Fox or a CBS. Let them do what they do best, get out of the sports/entertainment area and focus on what Disney does well. And you want to talk about, they're wanting to, and Iger continuing to increase his direct to consumer strategy. This is something I think that's unprecedented.
As long as they leave Deadpool alone, I'm good.
And they will. But
Excellent.
They will.
That they have they're casting an actor for Wolverine to put into Infinity War.
Oh. Okay.
I think you're right, Lou, about it impacting the streaming side. I also can't help but wonder, how is this going to impact the theme park side, especially in Orlando, where now Disney owns Marvel and The Simpsons, two of Universal's biggest lands.
I have been saying for quite some time, even before this deal, that I believe that once Disney acquired Marvel, the folks down the street were figuring, all right, we need to somehow look. I think it makes sense for Universal to offload the Marvel presence in their parks. Why? There's two major reasons. One, if I'm Universal, I sure don't like having to open up my books to Disney to pay them whatever the royalty type or licensing agreement is there. Two, they only have access to characters as they existed in the comic books.
Exactly.
So you will never see Spider-Man. You will never see the version of Spider-Man or the X-Men or anybody else that kids and adults are seeing in 2017 going forward. You're not going to see that same Wolverine. Right. You're very limited. So now all of a sudden there is a sense of relevance of those characters that is not going to be there. Universal also is like Walt in 1953 was limited when he was looking for land to by size. They can only expand so far, and they are pushing maximum density right now. You get rid of that Marvel land, and maybe even the Simpsons. That opens up a lot more land for them to do things like bring in the Nintendo property, which they acquired years ago. I believe in my little web-slinging heart of hearts that is going to happen within the next 3 to 5 years.
I tend to agree with you because they're limited at this point and there's confusion. And I'm with you that they probably don't want to open up their books and show Disney across the street what's going on. And at this point, it does to start to make sense that they kind of need to move on with the properties that they have under their thumb. And it's not like they've got some little ones between Nintendo and, of course, the Harry Potter thing, which took off like a shot. They've got other opportunities over there as well. So it would just make sense for everybody. And hopefully they can nail out an agreement and let it go.
So, M&A, I'd like to hear your opinions on what is, again.
No, I mean, I've been quiet because I think, what everybody is saying is, mirrors my own thoughts. I mean, for the multitude of people listening that don't know, I was an Wall Street mergers and acquisitions attorney who quit and moved to Disney World.
All the cool attorneys are doing it. So, just saying.
But no, I mean these $50 billion deals were what I did. So these numbers aren't strange to me. They are what they are. And I've had many a conversation with many a naysayer since this has been announced. Mergers can be a beautiful thing. A merger basically means that somebody could use it better and somebody's money was worth more, and they made the trade. And that's what a merger means. And that's what happened here. And I look forward to seeing what Disney does better with the long, long, beautiful list of things that they have acquired. I'm so, so excited to see these franchises in the right hands. Fantastic Four and Deadpool and X-Men and Diary of a Wimpy Kid and Die Hard and The Simpsons. I mean, I just like putting them into the hands of Disney. I'm so, so excited to see what they do better. With these. I mean, I'm needless to say, when the deal was announced, I was the first person on Edgar, like pulling up the agreements and poring over them. This is that's as much as I deny it, it's still my blood. And I love to read the deals, and I probably missed my old job for the first time. When they came out with the details of it. But bygones be bygones, and I'm on the outside of it now, reading in, and I'm incredibly excited for all the same reasons that everybody else is, and sort of, I don't have the same heebie-jeebie reaction to mergers that some people do. I'm so excited to see what what these various universes become in the hands of the right owner.
Yeah, because I think, we talk about sort of the low hanging fruit, the Deadpools and the X-Men and some of that kind of stuff. But if you think about just how much, even the current stuff they're acquiring. So Fox Television Studios has just under 40 series currently in production. Again, not the least of which is things like The Simpsons and Modern Family, whatever. But they're also getting the Fox's chain of regional cable networks that's dedicated to sports, including things like Yes Network. So I think what Disney's also doing is they're padding what their potential offering is going to be when they are ready to offload something like ESPN, because it's going to be, look at all of the sports stuff that we're going to be able to sell to whoever it's going to be. But they also get FX Network. They get National Geographic. They get, and again, if you're overseas, this may be more impactful for you, Sky of Britain and Star of India, which are the monster TV service providers over there. So I think what Disney's doing is this strategic goal of not just domestically, but internationally looking to dominate not just necessarily traditional media, but the progressive media in terms of streaming. And I come to find out, because I always wonder when things like this happen, especially when the Marvel and the Lucasfilm, I'm like, is Bob Iger just sitting around on a Sunday afternoon and picks up the phone and calls George Lucas, or did he call Stanley? That literally is sort of how this deal happened. From what I understand, Iger and Murdoch were at Murdoch's, he has a winery in Bel Air, and they're just talking about technology and the media business and how it comes to be. And Iger sort of gets in his car. He's like, I wonder if this guy would be open to a merger discussion. And he called him like a couple of weeks later in August to talk about more serious things? And he's like, sure, let's get together, make it happen. And then they started chatting in New York, and the next thing you know, Disney buys Fox. Which
all about relationships.
It's amazing.
Conversations never hurt. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that happens. So
that's cool.
One thing though, too, as you frame it up again, Lou, like with obviously they've captured the one audience, which is us. And I was going to ask Lisa how much your young guys, because I think you have the youngest group in the household right now, and like, are they what are they attaching to these days? Because we all grew up on the Star Wars and we all grew up on the Simpsons and all these things, but so we're all bookend. On the other end, they're also, it looks like, making very good inroads in trying to grab that next generation, which may be a lot different than us, and that'll be interesting to see what creative elements start to get their attention as they grow older, and that will Disney have that ability to absorb it. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah. It's again, this is going to be something that it's going to be interesting to see how it sort of plays out once it's approved and once it starts to take place in the relative short term, and then long term, looking back on probably in ways and in technologies that we can't even fathom at this point.
Right. And Fred, I think on going off that comment, even thinking back over this past year with the introduction of on the Disney Channel and lots of new TV shows. I think there was the Tangled show started, the reintroduction of DuckTales, which I actually was excited about, and I've seen some of the cartoons. And I know it had a huge booth at D23 that had hour-long lines at all times of the day. So I think it does seem like they are still focusing heavily on their new TV content geared towards children.
That's good.
Because they were letting you jump into the pile of gold.
That was so much fun.
We were pretending to be Rupert Murdoch, just jumping into his $54 billion. If we would have known that we know now, we could have like cosplayed as Rupert Murdoch and pretended we were jumping into his pile of gold.
If only.
Listen, we can continue to talk about not just this deal, but there's so much more that happened. We didn't even touch on, Expo. We didn't talk on the ABD. We didn't talk about some of the things. And because we did do full shows on that, and there's a couple of moments I do want to hit as we start to wrap up, but I would be remiss if we didn't talk about some of the losses that we have. And when I say losses, I don't just mean the cheeseburger spring roll, the buffalo chicken slider, the Cheshire cat cupcake, and the Mickey shaped cheesecake, and the pot roast mac and cheese. Top 10 things that my videos killed in 2017. But we obviously had a lot of losses as well. And I mean, personal losses. Marty Sklar in July, Exitencio in September. Some other ones that I think don't get a mention when we think about their Disney connection is Don Rickles back in April. John Hurt was in Black Cauldron. He was also the narrator of the Tigger movie. And Miguel Ferrer, you're like, what? How? He was Shan Yu in Mulan, and he was also Vice President Rodriguez in Iron Man 3, and he passed. And I loved Miguel Ferrer as an actor, so I was sad to see him pass. I'm in terms of my top 5 snacks that have departed the earth in 2017, I think it might be the cheeseburger spring roll or the buffalo chicken slider that I'm most sad about. So I may
pot
never
roast mac and cheese deserves a moment of silence
know.
because that really rocked.
Pour one out for the pot roast mac and cheese.
But let's sort of quickly touch on some WDW radio related moments from 2017. We talked about D23 Expo as chaotic and stressful and everything else it is. Being on that show floor, the Oreo cookie, the black and white cookie coming together of WDW Radio and Mouse Fan Travel on the show floor is always so much fun. We have a great time. It's exhausting, but I love every part of the expo. This year we added another layer on top of the expo experience, where I launched the inaugural Disneyland Quest. Yes, there is a Disney World Quest coming in the future, and this was a full day and I'm going to start. I can't look at the video because I'm going to start getting dirty looks from the people who participated in it. But it was a full day quest throughout the Disneyland park, where the teams of 2 to 4 people were challenged to go through and answer as many questions as they could, with a large number of them coming from Mickey's Toontown. Was that something that you guys enjoyed, would like to see happen again? And why did you what made you sign up for it in the first place?
So it was so much fun. I mean, I was ready to sign up for, whatever you had planned, be it something else initially or that. No, I mean, we were there and we were all in, and a friend and I did it. And I'll say, like, my biggest rave about Quest was that I had never been to Disneyland, obviously, before D23. And we didn't win. We didn't come close to winning, but I mean, we felt like contenders, like, during the course of the day. And I think the way that you did the scavenger hunt, the way that you approached the questions, made it something that could be entered and enjoyed by somebody who, had Disneyland as their sort of home park and spent, huge parts of their lives there, or somebody that's never been there before. The nature of the questions was just like that. And I kind of, like I said, it was my first time to Disneyland. We kind of, made the most of the time that we had while we were there, obviously, leaving time for the full days of D23. And I think I left Disneyland feeling like I knew more about that park than I ever otherwise would have, having done Quest. We just had fun. Like, it was fun. I mean, did we spend a lot of time in Toontown? Yeah, like, we kind of.
But that was deliberate, because I knew you didn't spend a lot of time in Toontown. I wanted you to spend more time trying to find some of the things that you probably had never noticed before.
Well, I'd never been to Disneyland before, so there was quite a lot I'd never noticed before. But no, I mean, seriously though, like, I mean, we joke about Toontown, but, like, the way that you approached the questions for the scavenger hunt made it fun, whether it was your home. Like, I would enjoy doing Quest, like, at Epcot here, even though I spent a ton of time there, obviously. But I also very much enjoy doing Quest in Disneyland, having never been there before. And I credit you for, crafting questions that made that the case. So I would definitely, like, say to anybody, the next time that you prepare a Quest, I would say to anyone, thinking about joining it, even if you don't know the parks as well as somebody who spends a lot of time there, you're still going to have a good time participating in it. Because that was certainly my situation at Disneyland.
Why didn't you win?
I didn't win because
this is where you blame your teammate who's not on the call.
Well, first of all, my teammate has a beloved Gertie dinosaur that was lost in the midst of Quest. So we did spend some time looking for that. No, I mean, I didn't go in expecting to win, and we played by the rules, and we sort of were under the impression that we weren't allowed to talk to cast members, even though that wasn't the case. So we thought that they were trying to entrap us when they kept, because people kept coming up to us being like, "Are you doing a scavenger hunt? Like, do you need help?" And we totally thought they were trying to, like, entrap us into asking questions when they were just, like, nice people trying to.
You could read Lisa's conspiracy theory blog over at. It was all a big. I got all the cast members in Disneyland together. Like, listen, all right, we're trying. I want you guys to try and entrap people so they can be disqualified. Father Christopher, did you?
You were, like, totally surprised, right? When you walked up to us on Main Street, like, we actually had answers correct. You seemed legit surprised.
No, I was happy. Because I didn't remember, as the person who writes the questions, it's hard for me sometimes to gauge how difficult they might be, what the expertise or skill level is. So I'm sort of going in trying to see, because my goal was to try and make you not necessarily not finish, but certainly not finish, in an hour, and then, like, yikes, because I did not make them challenging enough. So there was 250, something like that.
Well, you and Becky would have both had big problems if there were multiple people with all the questions right. So.
Well, I had,
Yes.
no, we wouldn't have, because this isn't my first,
Really?
this is not my first at bat. I've done these for 14 years. So I had multiple tiebreaker, games and questions ready in case I was prepared. So there would have only eventually been one winner.
Eventually, like 2 days later.
Just hold
After the
whoever can
14-hour
hold their
show.
hand on this car the longest without taking it off. And then I'll just come back in a week and see who's still sitting there. Father Christopher, you and your team of 4 participated. You were the grim grinning ghost, correct?
We were, because we didn't stand a ghost of a chance. And it was great. We really enjoyed it. I will admit, I thought you were absolutely crazy when I realized this was scheduled for Disneyland's actual anniversary date with the large crowds. But it ended up actually being the perfect thing to be doing on the anniversary. Because while everyone else was standing in line for an hour to ride a ride, we were exploring the park and doing other things. It worked out especially well since we've been able to add a little bit extra time and got to see Becky in her natural habitat of Disneyland. And
I thought you meant the bar.
I got to see all of the music for the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, but the scavenger hunt really became kind of like the highlight extension of the trip, because we were able to spend time looking at a lot of the little details, like Lisa said, that wouldn't have paid attention to, especially just being not having Disneyland as the home park. It's easy to get mesmerized by the bigger things and the bigger pictures, which is great, but it was also important, I think, that the scavenger hunt helped to focus in on some of the smaller details that mirror some stuff at Disney World, but also set Disneyland apart.
Like, did you have that satisfying moment when you realized that the gravestones were at the shooting gallery and not at Haunted Mansion? I had that moment.
There were a lot of those that realized stuff, and then hindsight, looking at things and going, why did we waste so much time listening to a phone? So there was lots of little things, learning curve that took place. I look forward to doing another one in the future, whether back in Disneyland or Disney World or Disney Springs or something like that. But I think it was a great event to be done on such a busy day.
Okay, listen, the goal was for everybody to have fun first and foremost, and not be mad at me at the end. I mean, I understand you were probably cursing me out on the way through, but then when you finally handed it in, a lot of that anger seemed to have dissipated just a little bit. So I appreciate that. And I am planning additional quests for the future, so stay tuned. This is where Becky goes, you didn't tell me when it's, don't worry, I'll let you know. But there was a lot of other things that happened too, collectively for WDW Radio and personally. We didn't even talk about the double dip cruise that we did in June, which I just loved so much. And again, we talked about our, the ABD. I personally, I other parts of everything I do expanded to more. I spoke a lot more. I spoke in San Diego. I got snowed in at St. Vincent's in Pennsylvania. I was supposed to go to Jerusalem to speak, but I had a conflict, which would have been interesting. I was in Georgia, Minnesota. Thanks to all of you, I was privileged to be able to speak to the Make-A-Wish Foundation in Arizona in October, and then of course we had our second annual Momentum event in Walt Disney World, which I know Fred and Lisa are repeat attendees to, and that will be returning and then some in 2018. So I'll have announcements about that soon. I did have, and I would love for you, and maybe not even whether you know them off the top of your head or quickly looking, and I'll stall to give you some extra time. Look, the show has always been the nucleus of what I do. It's still my favorite thing that I do, although I really love doing the live video stuff as well. Here's some of my favorite shows from 2017. And if you're a new listener, these are ones you might want to go back to. Maybe here you go. Here's a top 10 personal favorite shows from 2017. Show 474, Secrets and Stories You Never Knew About Pirates of the Caribbean with Jim Corcus. 479, I interviewed Duncan Wardle, who was the former vice president of innovation and creativity for the entire Disney company and a keynote speaker at Momentum. He just has fascinating stories. I heard from more than one person at Momentum that he could have just gotten up on stage and just spoken all day long because he had so much energy and insight to share. I loved going backwards as well as forwards. So on show 481, not long after the opening of Pandora, we looked at Beastly Kingdom, which was the Walt Disney World that never was, what should have been where Pandora currently sits now. It took me this long to get to food. I love Geyser Point over at Disney's Wilderness Lodge. We did a live review out there in May. Lisa's giving me the hairy eyeball. She's like, that's another place that I haven't been to as yet. Going back to Disneyland on show 483, 10 Secrets You Never Knew About Disneyland, 488. Maybe bookending the keynote speakers at Momentum. I did 20 questions with Lee Cockrell, who was an executive at Walt Disney World. And he's another guy who I could just listen to him talk all day, and not just sharing stories about Disney, but stories about entrepreneurship and business and just life at Disney. Show 492 was one that I waited years to do, and I'm happy I did because I had Jeff Bayham come on and join me to talk about Disney's Haunted Mansion, the histories, secrets, and stories. And we will go back and revisit the second part of that soon. Top 10 corny, nostalgic, and sentimental things we still love about Walt Disney World was 494. The Lost Parades of Disney World was a sleeper show. Jim Corcus was like, who wants to hear about the parades? And yet it's one we still get a lot of feedback on. And I really loved show 501, which was 10 things you didn't know about Walt Disney, because we talk about the person and the persona, but I think there's so many stories that people don't know about the man. And just because I'm Lou Mangello, here's an honorable mention. Show 478, a hidden treasure of Walt Disney World, was late night dining at Sanaa Lounge, which is still one of my favorites. Bread service for days. If any of you remember or have done the Google quick enough, was there any show that I did in 2017 that you remember, that you enjoyed, maybe even shared with a buddy?
Every email show.
There it was coming.
I enjoyed your holiday episode, Lou. You didn't mention that.
It was on the honorable mention list.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What show number was that?
502.
Yeah, that's a good one. The one that jumped to mind that I had a lot of fun with, and I think all I have to do is, I don't think I could do it as well as you, Lou, but it's "Hey ladies," and I will be scarred, as it was said. So that was number 498 with Tim, the top 10 things we love about Spaceship Earth. That was a really good one too. And you'll never look at that person ever the same way again, right? Never. It will.
The contemporary one was good too, 485.
Was it like top 10 things you didn't know about?
Like secrets and stories about the contemporary. And obviously Duncan Wardle and Lee Cockrell. I could listen to them talk all day. Those were on my list as well.
I think you could also do a spinoff of that, going back to the one I just brought up too. I made note of when the conversation about the Phoenicians. That was that was priceless.
The Phoenician debate rages on.
Yes.
Yeah, the Duncan Wardle and Lee Cockrell interviews. I love the Jim Corcus episodes, all of those. I always learn so much from those, from the history standpoint. And then I also had written down, I think, every single one of your food episodes. So from Sanaa to Planet Hollywood to Tule Canteen, Paddlefish, Morimoto.
Morimoto was so good.
Animal Kingdom Lodge, the Mara. So your live dining reviews, I always find somewhere new that I either need to eat, or at least if I've been there, something new that I need to try. So
I really liked, and not that I was there, but the 500th was really fun because there was a whole collection of characters in one place live talking about things, and also getting to ask you questions and hearing your answers to some of the things that people wanted to know. So that was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
There's another one. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. There was a video. I think it was a live stream, but it was with Becky out of Disneyland at the Cozy Cone, and you were enjoying a chili con carne. that was another. Yeah, that was a good one.
Was that the water fight? I think the water fight.
I think
showed
so.
up on there.
I think
No, that was when it started off with "Don't ruin this moment for me."
I think
As
might
all
have had.
videos should.
I might have had 3 cones that night
You did.
because I think I had the chili and then I had the chicken
Yes.
verde and then somebody didn't
Uh-huh.
finish theirs and I.
Right.
All right, don't
Yeah,
judge
you were-
me. I don't get there that often.
Research purposes only. I know.
We need to go back, Kate.
You know what? The one I loved most of all is the lounge review that we did like 4 times through 2017.
And we're going to make it happen in 2018. Here's what we're going to do, Becky. I promise you.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn the recorder off. I promise you that we will do a live lounge review, which we've done I will tell you, even though you were there, I love doing the Tutti Gusto review with you. Like, how much fun did we have that night?
Yeah, we have to do that again.
That was
That
a
was,
lot of fun.
that was good. That was
We have to do
listening gold.
some dining. Yeah, that was fun.
And we
Especially
will
because you
do-
guys have had a few drinks before you went live.
Precisely, it helps.
We will do another lounge review, and we will do
The dining.
the top 10 lounges in Walt Disney World.
We have to do another dining review though too, because we do have to eat.
We do. We'll make that happen. And who knows? Maybe we'll invite some other members of the nation to join us.
It'd be fun.
Maybe you can schedule it like in advance enough for me to get a babysitter.
Or a flight.
Or a flight.
We'll have to do one with the nation around Momentum too. When I know some.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Down here too.
I think if I know how hard those quests are to put together. That'd be a great thing to do at Momentum.
Do you want to see me go to the loony bin?
Yeah.
Trying to do Momentum, and remember, I did Momentum right days after coming back from China.
No, that's a hot
and then
mess.
flew out
You
from
don't wanna see
Momentum to
it.
do like 2 more speaking engagements.
Oh, I flew right from
It was
Momentum.
Make a Wish and
That's right. I flew.
No,
That's right. I went
let's not
to
forget that there was a little
Phoenix,
little
and then I went to
hurricane.
Minnesota.
mhm.
There was a
Like
little
the day
hurricane in there
after
too.
Momentum. There was
Well,
what?
he left. Well, that was the weekend right after the weekend of the hurricane.
And I don't think you were feeling too well either, right? I mean, I think you were at the edges of a cold or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I remember because I landed from Japan, and then like 4 hours later, I woke up and did Epcot anniversary on October 1st.
You did
Oh,
a
that's
you
right.
did a meet.
I
Like
did
you
a
did a what the hell?
There was a live stream, yeah.
I was like The
man.
Walking Dead that day, and then Momentum was the week after, and then Make a Wish, the Bar Association conference, Food and Wine Classic was right after that,
No wonder you were cranky.
and then Wine and Dine, which we had donuts on the course for. So
Wow,
That was
that's
good.
a recipe.
yeah, I remember I wasn't running; I was just cheering. So we had.
Are we still recording at this point?
We are. We are.
Just assume we were not.
But we're so I'm going to go around the horn again in the same order. I want you to tell me, if you can, and this is not meant to be a list, what is or was your or the single best moment from 2017? And it could be something personal to you. It could be Disney related, however you want to sort of frame that question. The greatest single moment from 2017. Lisa, Becky, Father Christopher, and Fred.
Mine's really easy. Mine's so personal, but it's Disney related. So my single greatest moment was, getting the key to the house, and looking out the bedroom window and seeing the Magic Kingdom fireworks on the first night after we had closed. That's a very easy question to answer for 2017.
And for those of you who haven't made the move yet, I've been thinking about this show for literally years. Maybe this is the year I'm going to do a show about moving to Disney. Because I'm not the only person who's done it, and everybody that has done seems to be much happier. And for those of you who are thinking about doing it, maybe we can sort of help you through that process a little bit.
Yes.
So, Becky?
Mine comes in 27 parts.
You get
'cause
one.
There was so much.
I
All right,
understand,
well,
but that's why we need one.
1.5, because part of it is all together. It's got to be, once again, going back over to Tokyo Disney Sea, which in my opinion is probably the best thing Disney has ever done that's out there, and we've already talked about it. But part of it is seeing your face, realizing that there was an entire land under the volcano when we thought that there was like one ride under there. That was pretty amazing. But I think more than anything, collectively, was going to a Disney park and okay, besides maybe another point too of walking into the walkthrough, the Marvel walkthrough, and realizing it wasn't just a walkthrough and Disney telling us to run, which was amazing, but going into a Disney park, or three of them, that I had never seen before and didn't read about and didn't learn anything about, and let the magic happen. And when you live, breathe, eat Disney as much as we do so much, and we know about it, and we know exactly when you're turning left or right to get to where, and you know exactly the color of carpets that's in every hotel because you have been there so many times, to experience it again with fresh eyes and to go through the Disney magic that the Imagineers have created for you. And you don't even know the story, but you just get sucked into it and you are immersed in it and you walk away with that magical feeling. Collectively, that's my favorite thing about 2017, is that I was lucky enough to experience that several times on our ABD, and then stopping in Tokyo, and to have that feeling again of just overwhelming magic, and being an 8-year-old again was kind of fantastic. And then watching everybody's faces on Pirates in Shanghai.
Yeah. Father Christopher and Fred?
Father, you can go first.
All right. For me, it was the return of the Dole Whip pineapple vanilla swirl. No. For me,
oh my God, I was so hoping you were serious. I was like, this is why we're friends.
The big thing for me that I'll always look back as 2017 for is the trip out to Disneyland between D23, the scavenger hunt, being able to. I've been to Disneyland before, but not frequently enough that it still very much has that newness for me. So I think for me, that whole trip became the highlight of 2017 for me.
That's my number 2, for what it's worth. There's a video of me going down Main Street on the double-decker bus for the first time.
It was fun seeing all of you guys in Disneyland too.
Yeah,
it was really
so
neat
cool
to kind of host you and see everybody there.
My biggest thrill was the second parking garage in Disney Springs. I really enjoy the way that they do that. That is an amazing feat.
Are you a lime guy or an orange guy?
Oh, lime.
No, I'll go to whichever one I can figure out how to get into.
Actually, no, mine is, I guess it's something that's woven, and Lou, you know, I've shared this with you over time, but this year I was fortunate enough to be recognized professionally for my teaching. But that wouldn't have been achieved if, you know, I hadn't been following the rules of Lee Cockrell, who I, you know, connected with through you, and then ultimately at Momentum. So Momentum gave me the basis and the organizational skills and the drive to focus, but ultimately also launched the stuff that I'm doing on the side now too, which is a lot of fun, and it follows the vein. But there's a great, it's just a great ball of goo, but it all stems from everything that you've started for all of us. So I just appreciate that immensely. So thank you.
How about you?
Oh man, I was going to try and wrap up and get away with
Nope.
it.
I'm not going to let you do that. You know that.
I mean, look, it's easy to pick something like Expo, to pick something like the Asia trip, where, believe it or not, Becky, when I think about the Asia trip, one of the things that I enjoyed most, forget Pirates, forget Tron, forget the ropes course, forget all the, sitting down to eat like Edo style sushi in an authentic, I felt like this warm glow growing inside me. Like, this is exactly what I wanted and needed to do when I went to Japan.
I need to tell people this, because obviously we had to wait a long time outside to
which
get
Becky
that
does
seat.
not normally do. She's not
No,
good at
and-
the waiting thing.
But what was amazing is that every like few minutes when he realized it's gonna be a little bit longer, he looked at me and go, "No, it's okay. We can just go somewhere else. It's all right. We shouldn't have to wait this long." And I just looked up and I went, "No, this is one of the reasons you come to Japan. So we're going to wait. If it takes us 4 days, we're going to wait and get you into this restaurant." And you were the happiest I have ever seen you.
It's the little, you know what? It is. It's the little things. It is the little thing. And maybe that's why I'll pick what I'll pick. Cause it's the little things. It's the experiences most. So it's not the big thing like Expo. It's not the big thing like going there or doing a cruise. And maybe, and I don't believe that this is going to come out of my mouth. Maybe it's the 500th show. And it's not because we're celebrating 500 shows. It's because everything that went into it. It was the chaos of trying to plan it and things going wrong and improvising on the fly and making things happen and believe it or not, like working together with you to make sure it went the way it did. And then to be able to invite people into my home, because I've said since day one that you are like extended family, and there's no better testament to that than saying, come into my home and share this experience with us, either in person or, virtually. And even then when we were doing that, there was technical issues, but it all worked out. Like it all worked out in the end, as it always does. Knock on wood. But it did. And I think that's sort of an embodiment of this whole journey is it's chaotic and it's exciting and it's fun. And it's about sharing like this, sharing and reminiscing with the people that you love and the people that you are closest to, whether we have met yet or not. So I'm not going to let myself get all sappy and weepy and sentimental, but as we sort of turn this page from 17 to 18, I will end this oh so incredibly long show where it began with a quote, which is, "Yesterday is gone, tomorrow has not yet come. We only have today, so let us begin." And that's not from Dr. Seuss. It's from Mother Teresa. And I buy into that 100% because I think one thing that I learned about 2017 is I looked at this list and I'm like, it seems like yesterday and it seems like 10 years. It goes by so fast. So embrace and savor the moments because they go by too quickly. And Timon and Pumbaa were right. Like, put your past behind you. Like, look forward, plan for your future, and like be present, like where you are and who you are with, because you are going to snap your fingers and it is going to be in your rearview mirror. So I want to thank Lisa, Father Christopher, Fred, and Becky so much, not just for the show today, but for the love and the friendship and the support that you have given me. Becky, 2018 is going to mark 11 years or so that we have been working together and still we've come close. We still haven't killed each other yet.
We haven't actually drawn blood. So
not
that's
yet.
good.
There's never been a fisticuffs but maybe we'll see if there's going to be, I'm going to make sure it's happening live because we want to make sure that we share that with everybody.
Video gold. Nice.
I say it jokingly, but it's true. I wouldn't have you here. I wouldn't work with you if I didn't
enjoy picking on me so much.
No,
yeah, I know.
But listen, I pick on you like my much older sister, because if I didn't trust you and respect you and love and appreciate you, I certainly wouldn't recommend you to the people that are my friends and family. So when I tell you to go use Mouse Fan Travel, it is because I use, but more importantly, it's who I trust. And I would not, and I think that's the greatest compliment that I can give you is that I not only respect you, but I trust you for something that's so important for the people that book with you.
Thank you. We really appreciate that too.
And
just think, it's going to be 36 degrees on Friday morning, just so you know.
We're having a nice day. Let's not talk about that yet.
That's a heat wave right now to me. So.
Fred Aimley, again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for coming to Momentum. You do awesome stuff too, not necessarily Disney related, but I'd love for you to give a plug for what you do and what you do to help kids start to, or even adults, start to embrace something that might turn their passion into their profession. So have at it.
Yeah. You could find me at getmecoding.com, and I'm on Facebook and also Twitter and Instagram at getmecoding.com, where I can give you tips and tutorials on how to learn to code using some of those great tools for kids or adults. So, or if you're a teacher and you're looking to also engage your students in a new way to teach them how to code, I'd be more than happy to help you provide that type of framework or environment. Just reach out to me there.
And Lisa, I know you have a blog where you're combining two of your loves, running and Disney.
Yeah, so I blog on thecastlerun.com. It's sort of the varied adventures, just regular life stuff and momming two kids and sort of rewriting a life that we love here in Disney. And needless to say, I'm a runner. So I'm doing my first Dopey next weekend. And I blog about my running adventures as well, and will be detailing my Dopey adventures there. As well, I also have an Etsy shop called The Castle Run on Etsy at etsy.com/shop/The Castle Run, where I combine my three loves of Disney running and drinking.
Now you and Becky just bonded,
so
just
well.
so you know. Yeah.
Yes. By some miracle, I've created a business model. No, I mean, we do a lot of fun stuff, but it's all custom glassware for the most part. And we do, toasting flutes and beer mugs and wine glasses and coffee mugs and all that good stuff. All custom, much of it geared toward celebrating, race finish line.
I have to go try some of those just to make sure they work properly. What do you think?
I know. I might have something in store for you, Becky.
Ooh.
And I'm on Instagram as the Castle Runner, where you can kind of see snippets of everything. So
I will try and remember to put all of those links in the show notes. And Father Christopher, I assume everybody can find you every Sunday at Mass at.
That's about as social as I get. So.
Well, I appreciate again. Every one of you who has been here today, not just helping to record the show, but listening for the entire time. Again, I am not going to get overly waxing poetic and weepy, but thank you for what has truly been my and collectively our best year ever. I have lots planned, much of which Becky doesn't know about, for 2018 that I want to do with you and for you. So
Getting a little late.
Don't worry. We got plenty. Becky, we got plenty of time. Don't you worry. We've got plenty of time.
Didn't we talk about that little sentence that you just said right there? Didn't we talk about not ever saying that ever
I will
again?
leave you with this.
Oh, no. I'm so
The
scared.
best is still yet to come.
We have a lot to talk about, Montana. We have a lot to talk about.
And so
it's all
much
good,
to
Becky.
eat.
It's all good stuff.
So much to eat. It's time for our Walt Disney World Trivia Question of the Week, where I invite you to test your knowledge of Walt Disney World's history or see how well you pay attention to the details, sometimes in what you see, sometimes in what you hear. If you think you know the answer, you can enter via our online form for a chance to win a Disney prize package. Before we get to this week's question, we're going to go back, review last week's, and select our winner. So I believe an overlooked attraction at Disney's Animal Kingdom is the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail, that 3/8 mile walking path where you can see different African animals and research students positioned at locations throughout the path to give information about the animals and answer some guest questions. But what you might not realize is that this opening day attraction has actually had multiple names since it opened back in April 1998. So your question last week was to tell me, what was the name of the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail when it changed from 1998 to 2016 before it reverted back to Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail? Again, thanks to the hundreds of you who got this correct, even the ones who didn't get it correct, but were incredibly creative with your answers. But the right answer is that while the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail was an opening day attraction on April 22nd, 1998, from August 98 to May 27th, 2016, it was known as the Pangani Forest Exploration Trail. So I took all the correct entries and a few of the really creative, funny ones and randomly selected one. And again, you're playing for my 102 ways to save money for an at Walt Disney World book, all 7 of my virtual audio walking tours of the Magic Kingdom, both of which I'm keeping on sale, just $10 each at the WDW Radio store. I'm also going to send you a WDW Radio Magic Band 2.0 cover, some WDW Radio stickers, and a WDW Radio pop socket stand for your phone. And last week's winner, randomly selected, is Ben Legrand. So Ben, congratulations. I have your shipping out information. I will get it out to you right away. If you played last week and didn't win, that's okay, because here's your next chance to enter in this week's Walt Disney World Trivia Challenge. So as part of our 2017 recap, we talked about some additions and announcements and a few losses that Walt Disney World experienced. And one of those, which was a sentimental favorite for a lot of guests, was Ellen's Energy Adventure, at one time known as Ellen's Energy Crisis. And your trivia question, think about it as your final Jeopardy question this week, is to tell me, what was the final Jeopardy category that was presented to Ellen and Stupid Judy? Because remember, Einstein had no money and didn't make it to the final round. So all you need to do is tell me, what was the final Jeopardy category presented to Ellen and Judy in Ellen's Energy Adventure? You have until Sunday, January 7th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern to go to WDWRadio.com, click on this week's podcast, use the online entry form there. I'm going to send you the book, the audio tours, the Magic Band cover, the stickers, the pop socket, and just because it is the beginning of the new year, I'm also going to send you a mystery prize from my prize closet. So good luck and have fun. That's going to do it for this week's show and for 2017. I cannot thank you enough. Whether this is your first time listening or you've listened throughout 2017 or going back to 2005 when I first started podcasting, I sincerely appreciate you and the time that you spend and share with me and all of us as part of our WDW Radio community. I also want to thank all the members of the WDW Radio Nation from 2017. Those of you who have been with me since I first started the Nation, or those of you who have first joined the Nation this week or this month, thank you so much. Your help and love and support goes such a long way to literally keeping the lights on here. And if you are not part of the Nation, want to find out more, you can visit WDWRadio.com/support. It's a great way for you to not only help the show, but I'm also going to send you exclusive rewards every month. I create a new scavenger hunt from Walt Disney World and maybe elsewhere, and I send out every month to Nation members. We have a private Facebook group. I send out personalized WDW Radio Magic Band covers, logo gear, backpacks, t-shirts, monthly care packages from Walt Disney World, live video group calls every month, and lots more, and some special things coming in 2018. Again, to find out more and help support the show, visit WDWRadio.com/support. I'd also like to invite and welcome you to be part of the WDW Radio community and family, and be part of and contribute to the conversations that we have over on our Facebook group. If you go to WDWRadio.com/boxpeople, that'll take you to the WDW Radio Box People group. If you're wondering where that name came from, years ago when I first started live broadcasting, people were asking me what I was doing. I said, well, there's all these people, and I'm talking to them in this box, which was my computer. The name stuck, and the Box People community was born. I would love for you to be a part of it, whether you lurk, comment, contribute, anything. I'd love to have you come there. Again, if you go to WDWRadio.com/boxpeople, please come and introduce yourself. Also, you can connect with me elsewhere on social by liking the WDW Radio Facebook page at facebook.com/WDW Radio, and you can connect with me. I am at Lou Mongello on Twitter, on Instagram, on Pinterest, and on Facebook as well. As I've said from show number 1, this show is for and with and by you, and I would love to have you be a part of it. So if you have a question you want me to answer on the air, you can email me, lou@wdwradio.com, or better yet, be heard on the air. Call the voicemail at 407-900-9391 with a question, a comment, or just a hello from the parks. And of course, you know, as much as I love connecting and talking with you online, I still believe, as I have since I started this so many years ago, that nothing beats a handshake and a hug. That's why I continue to do free monthly meetups every month in Walt Disney World and elsewhere around the country and on cruises. Our next meet of the month is going to be this coming weekend during Marathon Weekend. It's going to be Saturday from 2 o'clock to 3:30 p.m. at the Tomorrowland Terrace in the Magic Kingdom. Anybody and everybody is welcome, whether you've been listening since day one or this is the first time listening, whether you're part of the running team, whether you're bringing the whole family or just coming solo. I welcome and invite you to this or any future Meet of the Month in Walt Disney World. Again, go to the WDW Radio Facebook page, go to the events page there, and you can find out about this and upcoming Meets of the Month. I also do other meetups and events, not just in Walt Disney World, but on the road, especially as I travel to speak, and I'll be traveling a lot more in 2018. Speaking of speaking, if I could maybe come to speak to your conference, to your event, to your school, or to your business, or work with you one-on-one to help you turn that thing that you love into that thing that you do with some personal mentoring or small group coaching, you can find out more about speaking or working together by visiting LouMangello.com. Thanks again to Becky Mankin and the entire team over at Mouse Fan Travel for an amazing 2017. No matter where you are going in the Disney or outside of the Disney world, Mouse Fan Travel is who I recommend because it's who I use and it's who I trust. And you can find them over at mousefantravel.com and go to celebrationspress.com to subscribe to Celebrations Magazine. And as always, my friend, and you are my friend. Whether we have met yet or not, you continue to demonstrate that to me so often, and I am so humbled and grateful to and for you. But all I ask, especially now as we're turning the quarter into a new year, is that if you like the show, the best thing that you can do is please help spread the word. Tell your friends about it. That is the best way to invite and welcome more people into our WDW Radio family. And if you can, take just 30 seconds to rate and review the show over on iTunes. It's incredibly helpful. It's another way for us to continue to grow. And thanks to you, we have, I think, close to 1,400 5-star reviews. I want to thank some recent reviewers like Save the Rock, who says, I am a Disney pod belt holder. Thank you so much, Lou, for the incredible podcast. The level of detail and info you pack into every episode is amazing. Every week, when your podcast shows up in the queue, I get that little shock of Disney excitement and joy. And the second I press play, I feel like I've been transported into the front gate of the world. It never disappoints. Thank you again for all your hard work and the positive message you are constantly sending out to the world. Billy, thank you so much, brother. And Gavish says it's fun, informative, and personal, and I thoroughly enjoy this podcast. It's a great resource for trivia, history, and park information. Lou does a great job bringing interesting topics and entertaining guests into the mix. I look forward to every episode and listen to previous ones in the interim. And WTown89 says, I love it. It is absolutely amazing stories and information about the wonderful world of Disney. I've shared this to all my Disney family and friends. Thank you. Lou Mangello and guests do an amazing job. I can't wait to hear the next podcast. Keep going. And 10 Flint from Australia says, it is a fun listen. Lou transformed his love of Disney World into a lively podcast with fellow Disney fans and the occasional Disney legend to discuss news, trivia, and history. It's a great way to prepare for your first or next trip to Walt Disney World, but also a way to recapture the feeling of being in the parks at home. Lou's passion is evident in the content he presents and also in the community of like-minded fans he's created. Thank you, Ted, but it's really that community that you guys have created. I just sort of built the hub clubhouse. You guys are the ones that populate it. Again, thanks to you and everybody else for all the reviews. If you go to wdwradio.com/iTunes, it'll show you exactly how and where you can leave a review. And finally, again, my sincere and heartfelt thanks to not just an amazing 2017, but this incredible journey, this amazing roller coaster ride that you have allowed me to experience. There's been highs, there's been lows, there's twists and turns, but I am grateful and I am smiling and I am laughing at every part of it because it is it's not just the wildest ride in the wilderness, but it is a ride I never thought that I would be on and one that I do not take for granted. And I'm grateful for each and every day. And for you, there's a new year that stands in front of all of us, right? It's like a blank chapter in a book that's waiting to be written. So I hope that in this year to come, you start to write the book of your life, right? The book that you want to read. And I hope that when you're writing it, I hope you make mistakes. Because when you make mistakes, it means you're trying new things, you're pushing yourself, you're challenging yourself, and you're living every moment till the fullest. So you've got that fresh start that you've been waiting for. January 1, or 2 is a perfect time and an occasion to start. So if you weren't happy with your 2017, here's your chance to make a change and make a difference and go write that story, go set your goals and resolve simply to be better and spread happiness. And maybe this is the year you can take that little or big leap of faith. I hope that 2018 is your best year ever. Thank you again so much for all that you have given to me in 2017. I look forward to writing and sharing this next chapter with you. And always keep moving forward. Have a happy, healthy, delicious, and safe new year. See ya.
Hey Lou, it's Ryan Hurley. And you know what? I have never called in to the voicemail section of the show before. You know, after all these times of hanging out in the parks and everything like that, I've never actually been a part of the end of the show. So no better time than now, because if you can hear that music behind me, it's Tomorrowland music. It's Tomorrowland background music. Of course, everybody knows that those dulcet tones of Tomorrowland. But no, I am not in Tomorrowland in the Magic Kingdom. That's the difference. I am in Disneyland, but not just any Disneyland. I'm in Tokyo Disneyland. That's right, land of the rising sun. And do you remember Bizarro Superman? This is Bizarro Magic Kingdom. You know where you are, but then at the same time you have no clue. Everything looks so familiar and yet so different. It's been a blast. Just exploring where you've been before. It's very strange, but very enjoyable at the same time. Park is absolutely filled to the brim. I mean, they really pack them in here, and but it's been very smooth. Having a great time, and we'll have to talk. We'll have to talk more soon. I'd love to be able to share all the details with you real soon. So, coming to you live from Tokyo Disneyland, this is Ryan Hurley signing off.
Hey Lou, this is Drew from North Carolina. My family and I just left Hollywood Studios for the last day of our Disney vacation. We're heading back to North Carolina tomorrow. But, just want to say that we started listening to your show in about March, and we've learned a lot and really enjoyed it. And I will say that we had a really enjoyable experience this time around, kind of taking some of the tips from your shows and looking for some of the details and things that you've pointed out and taught us through your shows. So anyways, we had a really awesome time. We're looking forward to coming back. I don't know when that'll be, but enjoy the show. Thanks so much, and I can't wait for the next show. Bye.
Hi, Lou. This is Courtney from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, and I am in the middle of wrapping Christmas presents. I was listening to your Guide to the Holidays podcast, and I just wanted to call and first say congratulations on your 500-plus episodes. That's an amazing milestone, and it's just amazing. And I love your show. Also, happy 10th anniversary to WDW Radio. How cool is that? I think that's amazing. You're so good at your job, and I just wanted to say thank you for your podcast and all the information that you give out. And my husband and I just got back from our trip to Disney World, and I got to check off a few things off my holiday bucket list. I got to see the gingerbread house at the Grand Floridian for the very first time, and I was so upset because we were there the second week in November, and they hadn't started yet, and I was like, oh no, we're not going to be able to see it, and we were able to see it the day before we left, so I was able to check that off my list, and it's such a stupid little thing, but whenever you go to Disney and you're running through the decorations and everything, I I felt really lucky to be able to see that before we left. But anyway, just wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and I hope you have a blessed holiday season. Talk to you soon, my friends. Bye.
Hey, Lou. It's Christine Morrison from Flowertown, PA, and I just got done listening to your podcast about Fort Wilderness campgrounds. I actually stayed there this past summer in the cabins. There was 15 of us, and we had our own little compound of 4 cabins all together. It was an amazing, amazing place to stay. We had so much fun. I really enjoyed, getting up in the morning and having my coffee out on the deck and just listening to all the wildlife. It was so peaceful and quiet. And believe me, I am not a camper, not in the slightest. I don't like it, but this is an amazing place to stay. My kids did archery, which was awesome. I mean, who would think you could go to Disney World and learn archery? They went canoeing. People in my party did horseback riding. We ate at Trails End Restaurant, and my 15-year-old is the pickiest eater on the planet. That is his favorite restaurant of all time. Loves Trails End. You ask him his favorite place to eat in Walt Disney World, and it is Trails End Restaurant. We had an awesome, amazing time. I highly recommend staying in the cabins. They're so luxurious and had every amenity. Housekeeping even did my dirty dishes for me. They put them in the dishwasher and ran the dishwasher. And the first night I was really confused because I didn't remember doing the dishes, but the dishes were done. So I thanked them the next day, and they were just amazing. The place was spotless, and I can tell you that they must do really good job with pest control because I didn't have any problems at all with mosquitoes. I don't even remember seeing one, and I hate mosquitoes. I had bug spray, didn't even have to use it one time. Pools were awesome. Everything. It was just a great place to stay. I highly recommend it. And it's such a quick little boat ride to anywhere you would want to go on the Seven Seas Lagoon. So thanks for everything. That show was awesome. I wish I had listened to it before I went, but I didn't know about it. So I just got done listening to it, and thank you for that. And I'd love to get down there during the holidays and rent a golf cart and just go around and look at everybody's lights. Someday. Take care. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Hello, Lou Mongello. It's Darlene Nagy from West Seneca, New York, and I want to wish everyone a very happy up and coming new year, especially for the year of 2018. Yay! This is going to be an exciting year. You guys have a meetup coming up next week, Saturday, at the WDW Radio Meetup of the Month, the first one for 2018, in the Tomorrowland Terrace from 2 to 3:30. So if you're down in the world, go and say hi to Mr. Lou Mongello and tell him Darlene Nagy from West Seneca, New York sent you. And we have then 141 days until our trip to the world for my birthday in May, 169 days until the WDW Radio Alaska adventure on the WDW Wonder. Woohoo! Love the Wonder. Great ship. You guys are going to have a blast. And that Alaska adventure is going to be absolutely breathtaking. So take note, take lots of pictures, but don't take too many because you want to make sure you see everything up there, especially those glaciers. Look for seals. They're very small from the big ship. Now, I have 272 days until I go back down to the world next year with our best friends, our besties, and our family, the Sternbergs. So, Happy New Year. Stay positive. Thank you, Lou, for everything you do for us. Love you all. Have a wonderful, magical day.
You've got a friend in me. Yeah.
Here's to the